Retake, this is big. He gets one and now has perfect vertical control. He'll swing out into pillar, looking for this gunfight, and he catches Mikey looking the other way. That's a quad kill from Bry.
Flies up the stairs. His teammate should be able to trade this. It's just an Getting into 3K with an and he's got the stubby out. He gets 4. What in God's green earth just happened?
As Reedsync goes into the default plant by Tetris. No more C4 anymore from the Malusi, so he's gonna have to go live, and he gets 4. What? Both these attackers rather low. There it is, but Twizzler was actually picked up in time. 12 seconds left. Vivid still needs this 4th kill. There it is through the wall.
Gaffer's just getting the bomb down. He doesn't care, but the impact downs him. They have to go for these kills. With 3 seconds left, Silent lands the pre-fire. Nobody can kill him in time. The ace from Silent. The 1v3, 2 for Mystic now. And we're 4-3, almost tied up.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the appetizer course of the greatest Siege feast available in Tier 3, the SCS7 semifinals. Tonight, 4 Colossi, some newborn, some long in the tooth, are going to compete for their opportunity to make it stick, to reach a duel that equals that of importance of Hamilton and Burr, tomorrow's night's grand finals. But first, they've got to face one another in this arena. I'm Corbeck. I've got 2 wonderful people on the desk alongside me tonight. Let's go ahead and bring them in. We've got our admin turned analyst Nix and the foremost forehead of T3 and Collegiate here, Klimps, leading us in. And how are we feeling about tonight's game, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, I am so excited. I love the fact that every time we have a chance to work together, Corbeck, you always got to point out Klimps's big old forehead. Absolutely love it.
Gotta run with it. And you know what? It's
Not
okay.
even
He
scripted
can
that
run with
time.
it. No, I literally did not expect it. You guys could probably
organic.
see my face just right there ready for pain. Pain at that. But that's okay. I'm excited for tonight, guys.
Yeah, it's promising to be a pretty exciting set of games. The playoffs so far have really been something. A lot of competitions, some surprises in there as well, some fan favorites out, some unexpected wins in. But let's take a look at our playoff bracket here if we can. Bring that up and get an idea of what's been happening so far here in these finals. And well, just taking a look at it on face, why don't you start us off, Klimps, with that S2 Esports Arial Academy game?
Yeah, that game, everyone thought that S2 was going to make it very far, especially after their regular season. They went 3-0, undefeated. They took down Parabellum, who we'll be seeing in just a little bit. But also, they were just stomping teams. They even beat RTV, who lost their game last night. But still, I mean, they were beating teams that no one thought they were going to beat. They were consistent, and they were good. They looked very strong as a roster overall. But when it came down to it, they had a nice little 1 week, maybe two week break or so from the regular season to playoffs for when they played. And I think that impacted them a lot. That lack of competition, that lack of being able to play, it impacted S2 a lot. And Arial Academy looked very strong in that match to put themselves on top.
Well, let me hop over to the other side of the bracket really quick, and let's start with you, Nix, here. Reality TV versus Wichita Wolves. This was actually one of the, I would say, big shockers, probably the biggest shocker so far of the SCS season.
Absolutely. I know Reality TV has been an absolute fan favorite so far all through this season, and just seeing the Wichita Wolves kind of bring it together and really go in and do some work really upset the Mr. B fans. So what ended up being really like the underdog, you know, just of the playoffs, turned into a real formidable opponent. So I'm very excited to see what Wichita Wolves are going to do later tonight.
Yeah, I think that was one. We'll get to it, but it's going to be a good discussion we're going to have about Wichita Wolves and Reality TV, I think, and the place that Wichita Wolves has earned themselves here in this competition. But our first match of the night is going to be Arial Rise Academy versus Parabellum Esports. But before we hop into that, I do got to ask, starting with you, Klimps, what match are you most excited for here tonight of these two?
You know, I want to say that this match is going to be the closer one, especially because although everyone doubts Wichita Wolves, I just think that auction has been so dominant. I think that this game is the one to watch for tonight. If you want some excitement and Siege and just good maps, I expect this one to go to 3 maps. I think that this is going to be a bigger of a match.
For sure. And Nix, do you echo those sentiments? Or are you looking forward to the second one a little bit more?
Well, I have to say, to be 100% truthful, I'm excited about both of these matches. Now, if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty of T3, everybody wants to see Arial Academy do some work tonight. And I agree with Klims 100%. I think this is going to be the closest matchup that we have tonight. But also, who doesn't like watching a good Oxygen game?
Who doesn't? Well, let's look at our first team here tonight. Arial Academy, the young guns, the new breed, the academy that triumphed over their parents in this competition. It's not been all sunshine and roses for Arial Academy so far here in SCS, but my lord, have they punched above their weight. They're a fan favorite. They're one of the most exciting teams in T3, and I mean, you can see that highlight reel going off right there. Arial Academy has done nothing if not assert their dominance here in their first match of the playoffs, and that's a streak that they're looking forward to carrying on here tonight. But we're gonna talk about the roster. We're gonna get a look at some of these up and coming players, and ladies and gentlemen, these are names that you're gonna want to pay attention to in the future. People that genuinely, like, if you're looking for the new face of Rainbow Six Siege and some of the upcoming members of Rainbow Six Siege, this is a roster that you're gonna want to pay attention to right here. So Klims, why don't you talk us through it?
A lot of young players. And when Harris and I were casting the LG AAA game, that was a promotion game. I believe both teams were 2-1 at the time. It went all the way to round 15 on map 3, and these players, we were a little bit concerned about some of the young age, some of the inexperience that they have. It definitely showed in that matchup, but when it came to the most recent matches that they played, notably against S2 just yesterday, they looked a lot better and very much so improved. We also questioned their roles and how that was affecting them. They've been on that carousel of roles. They've all been trying to switch around, switch on through, especially when they had to play against the favelas on such short notice for themselves coming in. So AAA, they've got a very strong roster, but also they've got some things that against a team like Parabellum and some of those inexperiences, that's a concern for PB. Or for AAA.
It definitely is, and I know, you know, all of these guys, like I said, they're up and coming stars. There's some really interesting talent, but there was one player in particular you really wanted to talk about, Nix. Who is that? You want to introduce him to them, here tonight?
Absolutely. So Neo is a player that we're going to go and highlight here on the Arial Academy side of things. Now, Neo, being the new kid on the block, really having to come into what was an existing team that was an absolute staple on the scene, really, honestly, didn't have much practice or really anything as far as prep time goes going into the season. I actually had a quick chance to talk with him last night, really about what's been going on with the team and kind of like what's been going on. So imagine this, you're the brand new kid on the block, you haven't had anything other than one singular scrim, and you're flip-flopping roles like Klims mentioned earlier. You're basically going through finding your own place in the world of your team, and at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where, you know, you might not start off strong, but there, and we actually got to witness that last night when they played, and I'm telling you, he came out with a force, and just being able to have that extra support that Ambi and Ashen need to really, you know, fill their own roles versus having to carry the team, it's really nice to see.
I mean, Klims, what do you feel about like the journey that this Arial Academy roster has taken here in SCS, in T3 as a whole? They've really just, it's felt like a constant state of growth, right, for them?
Yeah, they've had their ups and downs, lots of learning experiences in and out. Their first week, losing to Wichita Wolves, which is a very big upset, a huge shocker to see them fall, but then a nice bounce back, and they've really bounced back through this season. They've had their ups and downs, mediocre moments at best, but also some really good highlights and shining moments throughout the whole season. I'm excited to see how far their growth will take them through tonight, although I am concerned because they lost to LG and PB just the other day, handled LG with ease.
Well, there, you brought it up, so we might as well talk about him. Seawees Packham Parabellum, the org that stepped in here tonight to fight Arial Rise Academy, a name you might recognize, and for good reason. Some NAL talent on display. An interesting roster, we'll get to that in a little bit, but one that has put up a relatively decent performance here in SCS, 3-1 in the Swiss stage. They delivered a drubbing to Astralis, they took down Vipers, and they fought off, as Klims just hinted at, a relatively riled up Luminosity last night, in a pretty exciting matchup between the two. And I know Klims has got some insights into that as well, so we'll give him his head to talk about it a little bit later. But I, for one, am so excited to see the kind of challenge that this Parabellum roster is going to pose to the Arial Rise Academy side. It's really kind of it's a heavyweight bout between these two, a storied name versus an up-and-coming Academy team. And running on that theme here, like take us in a little bit about this roster here at Klims and what we can expect from some of these Parabellum guys.
AAA is one of those teams that everyone thought is going to be able to take down PL teams. We'll have to see that tonight. They face off against Doc, Kool-Aid, Blaz, Spirits, filling in for Packer, and Silent. Packer, unfortunately, having personal obligations, could not make it tonight. Kool-Aid, we saw, was substituted out for Sonar yesterday, or rather 2 days ago now, and thankfully he's back, so most of the core of Parabellum is here. But even then, with those roster moves and stuff, and having those substitute players have to come in and step up, they were able to perform well against a Luminosity team that I personally thought was going to be able to beat Parabellum, especially after hearing about PB needing those subs. But having some of those players that are experienced with the Parabellum organization, players in roster, such as Spirits filling in, who really stepped up in a big way, as well as Doc and Blaz to complement that. They played well. They played very well. Silent also on the entry, doing his thing as always. Parabellum looked very good against a rather strong Luminosity team on Tuesday night.
And I want to jump into comparing some players, but really quick, I do want to give you your chance. I know you've been looking at this team, you've been figuring some things out. Nix, how do you feel about this Parabellum roster here?
I'm thoroughly excited. Now, we have to remember that this iteration of, the 2022 roster of Parabellum was completely new for the SCS season, and they've kind of, just the org in general, have had a little bit of a difficult time with keeping a solid roster, but I'm telling you, this is the best we've seen them all year. So being able to go into this, even with the substitutes of Sonar and Spirits coming in, they have such an advantage because those players have been on the roster before. So they're going into these matches, I'm actually going to use, their most recent matchup, the Luminosity game, with substitutes. But having that, comfortable notion of having those familiar faces and being able to do those mid-round adjustments and everything, almost like they never were apart. So that roster is going to be pretty scary tonight.
Yeah, pretty scary indeed. And let's look at one of the scariest parts of that roster and compare them to Neo. It's Doc, and I know you have things to say here, Klims.
Yeah, Doc, very good player. We've seen him do so much as of late. He's playing that flex entry role, especially on the Buck. On attack, you see him. I feel like every game I see him on the Buck. But we've also seen some of the clutch potential come out from him. I mean, look at it, plus 28 on the KD ratio. And although Neo does not form up to that, originally Neo's positioning when he was picked up was as a support player. Now, obviously playing a very different role, more of on that flex lurk that we've seen him go out and do. But both of these players, very talented. Neo with clutch potential as well. You saw that last night. Doc, plenty of clutch potential. These two players, very strong for their rosters. I do think that Doc has the edge in this comparison and matchup. But Neo being one of those newer players, Doc having so much experience, who's really grown throughout all of his pro league career, it's not a shock to see him performing this well.
And Nix, I know you had a thought you wanted to share here as well, right?
Absolutely. Now, we have to remember that Doc and Neo are completely different players as far as their playstyle goes. But if you look up and down those statistics, you can see that when it comes to entry and actually doing the work, Neo has a little bit of an edge out over Doc. But if you put those two players head to head, honestly, throw them in a bunker war or something, I think we'd have pretty much tied stats at that point.
Well, let's take a look at the digital arenas our gladiators will be competing in tonight here. It's the map veto right off the top of it. Bank out, Villa out, Clubhouse out, Skyscraper out. So two of the sort of stalwarts right there taken off the board. What are we making of these bans so far?
I mean, these bans, not surprised at all, especially AAA banning out Villa. This is a map that Parabellum has been stomping teams on as of late. I believe in SCS they have a 100% win rate on it. So with that being said, I mean, they beat Vipers in a close matchup, stomped Astralis in an offline match, and then LG, they were able to take down 7-5, and I thought that they played very well in that game. That was obviously substitute players filling in. But on Villa, they look very strong. On Clubhouse, on the other end, AAA, obviously being target banned against from Parabellum. Not a big surprise to see that. But these teams have maps that they like, and they both like a lot of these maps together. Oregon being one of those maps for Parabellum, them choosing that, not a shock at all. They've been smoking teams on Oregon, a 6-0 half start against Vipers in one of their latest matchups, but also just Parabellum has looked so damn good on the map of Oregon. Theme Park for AAA, we've seen them pull it out a few times. We haven't seen Theme Park from Parabellum since Stage 2, Week 1 of the NAL.
That's a very interesting thing to hear indeed. It's going to be a little bit of a shocker then for them, perhaps, as they come in right there. Really quick, Nix, I know you looking at this map tool too. How do you feel about the Oregon, the theme park, and then the chalet as the decider?
Well, a lot of people have heard me say it time and time again. If you can't play a good Oregon, you can't play a good round, like, just competition in Siege. So I'm expecting both of these teams to come out swinging on Oregon. It's a tertiary map, should be played the same, but Theme Park is the one that I would be a little bit scared of when it comes to Parabellum, because that is Arial Arise Academy's home. That is where they have gone absolutely insane. So if we go all the way to Chalet, which there's a very good possibility of it, I think that's going to be the determination here, is that Chalet map 100%.
Yeah, I think that I think Theme Park has a chance to be something very interesting. I think of the two, it's the one that I'm definitely looking forward to the most. Perhaps no surprises there if we're comparing it to Oregon. But let's talk about predictions. We'll start with you, actually, Nix. Who do you have winning this matchup here tonight?
All right. I'm a little biased. I have to.
Okay.
I absolutely love the Arial Arise boys. I have to give them my vote for tonight. And the main reason behind that is because they have been such a formidable force. They have been a team absolutely to be reckoned with. The only reason why they're not in pro is because of their age. We can all agree on that. So at the end of the day, it's going to go to map 3. It's going to be a close. It's going to be a banger.
My introduction was trying to force me into a pick. I haven't made up my mind yet. I still want to hear what you guys have to say. So let's hear what you have to say on the other side. Klimps, who are you pulling for here tonight?
I'm gonna flip the coin on Nix. I think Parabellum are gonna take this match, especially after watching them so much lately in their Vipers game, in their LG game. They look strong, and their mid-round presence is what really sets them apart from all of these other teams, putting themselves in the advantage when it comes to the site executes. AAA, also watching them a lot lately. I'm concerned for some of their inexperience against a professional roster early in the season. So many people, so many teams were like, hey, AAA, they're going to smoke pro teams even, and we haven't necessarily seen that. We've seen them actually struggle more so than most of us thought. So I do think that Parabellum are going to edge it out. I think it's going to go 3 maps, though. I think that Theme Park is definitely an AAA stomping ground.
That's an interesting prediction. 3 maps, definitely a thing for my my choice. I have to be the decider here. You have all put me under a lot of pressure that I didn't want. I think I will have to come out on the side with you there, Klimps. I do think Parabellum is going to take this. I think that the veteran talent, despite the roster moves, despite what you have going on there behind the scenes, I think they're a squad that's going to hold it together. Now, I'll add a little caveat to that. I've got my fence sitting to do right here. It would not surprise me if Arial Arise Academy won. I just favor Parabellum a little bit. It's a very close decision. It's almost neck and neck right there. But I mean, at the end of the day, right, I think this is going to be an exciting game of Siege. There's a lot on the line here for both of these teams. There's a lot to be proved from both players. Before we toss it over to our casters here towards the end, guys, what are you looking for out of each of these teams? We'll start with you, Nix. Arial Rise Academy, what's their goal here tonight?
Well, their goal is to really show us what sweating means, because after being able to hear that interview yesterday, you know, with Ashens basically saying that, you know, hey, listen, we've been able to kind of take a step back. The team's really been self-sufficient, doing what they, you know, everybody needs to do, where you don't have to really worry about someone carrying. I want to see what it looks like when the entire team tries to carry itself. Like, I want to see them sweat tonight. And I think there might be some stuff up those kids' sleeves that we haven't quite seen yet.
Well, hopefully it's not just sweat up their sleeves. They've got some aces stacked up there as well. But Klimps, you picked them. Parabellum, what do you think their goal is here tonight in this difficult matchup?
I think they need to do what they do. Truthfully, Morbeck, I think that if Parabellum just does what they do best, which is controlling that mid-round game, forcing AAA down a couple men to go for those side executes, get rid of Ying, because AAA love Ying, especially on Theme Park. That helped open up a lot of their attacks. So if you just do those things, Parabellum are going to come out with success, I think, tonight.
Well, there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to The Desk. I don't want to keep you. I know you're all raring to go and you want to see this match. We want to see this match too, so we won't hold it back any longer. Let's put in view some humble vaudevillian veterans for you, your wonderful casters here for this evening, Crow and Light Rose.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to match number 1, first semifinal, AAA versus PB. I am Crow, and I'm joined by Light Rose. So, V, I've thought very long and hard while they were doing the whole death segment. I was looking at map stats. I was looking at individual stats. I gotta say, I think AAA takes it. I can't lie. I think it's 3 maps. I think each team wins their own map, but I think AAA has had a more recent, strong showing on Chalet, if that makes sense. I think they'll just edge it out on map 3.
I'm gonna have to go with Klimps. Like, you're on the side of Phoenix. I'm on the side of Klimps. I think just how Parabellum, how they have that roster that's gone through NAL. They've gone up against the best, and with Arial Rise not exactly having the track record. Yeah, they can beat some of those tier 2 teams. They can beat some of those tier 3 teams, but I just don't think they have what it takes to take down a team like Parabellum, who, even though they've been rocky, like, you have to say that what they performed in SI Quals, how they've done in SCS so far, but now is where they can finally, I think for both of these teams actually, is where they can kind of put those haters to rest. They can put anything that they've said all the way down, because in the end, one of these teams will be making it to the SCS Grand Finals. But I picked Parabellum, you picked Arial Rise, and I think it does actually come down to those map picks that everybody was talking about.
Yeah, especially too with how, you know, you're talking about PB looking weaker. You know, AAA was still playing well earlier in the season, but even in their losses, they were still playing well. We talked to them about it. It was definitely those tiny little mistakes. If they play like they did yesterday, I think they might blow Parabellum out of the water, because these kids, I mean, they just shoot, especially on their defenses. As long as they can run up the score on that defense, they'll at the very least take it to overtime. But if we want to focus in on the maps, talk about map number 1, Oregon. This is a weird one to go to, because one, Parabellum, they brought it out in SCS. They've only played it once in the NAL. They lost it to Sonic 7-4, Reality TV. I think Reality TV actually banned these 3 maps against them in SI Quals as well. So PB have always been willing to leave Oregon up. Sure, they lost it to S2, but they had 2 great performances following that, whereas AAA have always banned this map. It is a staple ban. They do not like playing Oregon. In fact, the only time that they weren't the ones to ban it was the game against Lycus, and that's because Lycus took it away first.
Yeah, well, now, I mean, they're kind of going to be thrust into the uneasiness that is this map. Nix was talking about it a little bit in that pre-show, that you need to know how to play Oregon. So it's not that AAA, they're going to be probably uncomfortable on this map, but they definitely know the rounds. They know how to play dorms. They know how to play basement. Everybody does. It's one of the most probably scrimmed played maps overall, especially because I think 4 of these players have been together for a long time. And even though recently they haven't been playing Oregon as much, I know that a lot of times over and over again in like earlier seasons of SFCL, maybe more recent seasons, they have gone to Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely experienced on this map. Just maybe as the current 5 now with Neo on the team, maybe it's not their best anymore, or it could be that they think they're better than everyone else they've played and they don't want to go to an equalizer map. And now against Parabellum, who are the first T1 opponent, that AAA are playing, maybe now they feel the equalizer map could be working in their favor, though I will say the playstyle that AAA have went with so far on Theme Park, on Chalet, on Villa, all these maps they've played, a little harder to do on Oregon. Not only because it's a map that everyone should know, but because it's such a checklist map. It's such a step-by-step process that sometimes it's hard to work in something funny, something tricky to try and slip up that attack with just raw aggression. As you can see by the Twitter poll, a majority of our audience actually thinks AAA is going to get that upset. And I have to say, I agree. Now looking at the operator bans, AAA have been banning some interesting things out. We saw the Dokkaebi come out yesterday, but instead they'll go back to what's standard, and we'll see Flores gone.
Yeah, well, Ying is following, and that was an accurate prediction. That taking it off of AAA's caliber is, I think, probably the best decision. You still leave operators like Nook on the board, but Oregon, you don't need to kind of look behind you as much. Nook isn't going to have such a playground on a map like this compared to Ying, who you can just throw those Candelas in the blue bunker. You can throw it inside of the window in the dorms area. There's a lot of places where you can actually get a lot of good position with Ying, so she's not going to be here. And of course, Zombie Valkyrie, that seems to now be a little bit of those stable bans. No, wherever you go, you got a good chance of it being in a Zombie and a Valkyrie ban.
However, it does leave up two other very powerful operators that we might see later from AAA or in Parabellum's defense, and that's the Mira and the Solus. Now, Mira's best site is definitely the basement. That's probably the only site where we'll see her, maybe up in dorms, but that's more of a gamble. I expect the Solus to be played, again, not as much as other maps, but still, you know, probably at some point. But AAA going down to the basement first is definitely not strange. They've got a great anchor lineup with them right now. They've got two drone denial operators, the shield from the smoke, that dock for added longevity for someone maybe holding pillar, for that smoke, perhaps holding an elbow. Ashen is upstairs placing those mute jammers, so they're going to be a light roam from AAA, but I don't imagine they'll be playing for the fights for very long, probably just to waste time and shoot drones.
Yeah, I think it's one of those roams where you play just outside of the site, and then pretty quickly, even if you face a little bit of pressure, you back off. You take whatever you can, get out, and absolutely run with it. Because Parabellum, I think trying to engage early can be a little bit of a risk against this team. You don't want to stray too far away from your teammates, like we're seeing Ambia up on that second floor. And there are members of Arial Academy. You got one in security, a couple by those white stairs, but if Parabellum truly wants to go on that roam hunt, Arial need to really be a lot more conservative with their positioning.
And conservative, I think, is the key for PB, because I was talking with a bunch of the guys, a bunch of people in the VC earlier, Kool-Aid in the call playing ranked, and they were talking about how AAA, all you really need to do to beat them is sit outside, and eventually they will swing you. And that might be the play, but no, it's actually Spirits to get aggressive. He jumps on in that big window, catches Ambi off guard. There was no one watching the hole beneath Ashen, maybe distracted by the pushes by Z, giving PB a lot of map control to work with, as well as that opening pick.
C4 just goes a little bit too early, doesn't take anything with it as Ashen with a gunfight with Spirit, so there is going to be the revenge kill. And now Ashen, he just gets stimmed up for his troubles. That's just what Doc brings you. If you lose that gunfight, take some damage, or excuse me, win that gunfight, lose some damage, it doesn't even matter because Uzi's right there just to give you a nice little health pack. And now, well, with Parabellum, they lose the buck. That's probably not the worst thing in the world considering how this site is set up. I mean, there's almost no vertical destruction. You still have Silent with those dash charges. You still have 2 grenades in Plaz. So taking the trade with Ambi, I think, is definitely a positive for PP.
You do lose some stun presence, though. Now you've got the 3 left for the Hivana, and there is a lot of anti-projectile utility to try and chew through. You also lose some hard breach if he was taking the hard breach charges instead. Neo allowed to cross into barrels because no one's down those tower stairs watching for him. Allowed to put down some more of those Wamidis, but they're not covering Ashen's position. He gets naded out. They get that late refrag for Spirits to reclaim the man advantage. Now PB looking at a 4 versus 3 and info on the dock as they try and head onto this bomb site. Silent, but Uzi lands a nice shot as the Doc kills Doc, but in comes the drop in E-Box, and they get smoked by Spiker. Double pumps Kool-Aid and Blaz, leaves Silent outside of bunker, all alone. Nothing Silent could have really done about that play, considering where he was positioned, that reinforcement, the default reinforcement, really what enables that play. And now all the AAA members have to do is sit back and wait with only 20 seconds remaining and a pretty mean crossfire here between Neo and Spiker. There's not a lot Silent can do. You even have Uzi playing off his teammate's contact to add a third gun to this crossfire. 10 seconds left. Silent knows the round is over, probably just looking to stat pad at this point. Spiker's holding close with the shotgun. He'll swing out, nab his third kill, and give AAA the first point.
And Spiker, I mean, it is a nasty play to hold E-Box with shotgun because, I mean, you know that a lot of people are going to drop that hatch because if there is really not a lot of freezer presence, there's almost no laundry presence, and there's nothing coming for blue, that is the only area of which the attackers really are going to find themselves. So, just Spiker does what he does best with that shotgun, is able to 1 pump, 2 pump, 3 pump, and absolutely destroy Parabellum's attack. So, is this going to be a common trend of Parabellum starting to get a little bit something going? They get 1 kill, they get 2 kills, and it seems like Arial or Academy just might get put in a corner, but then they bounce back. They have a couple of good shots. That one from Uzi as well onto the tower stairs was one that was just a little chef's kiss as well with some of his crosshair placement. As now Arial, they head up to this dorms area, bring some of that projectile denial with the Aruni, with that Wamai, but they swap the Jaeger for the Alibi, and I think with the amount of nades that Parabellum was able to throw and actually find at Arial, despite the amount of projectile denial, I honestly think that, you know, bringing out that Alibi isn't the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Blaz only has the only set of nades anyway, so in terms of kill potential, that's all they really have going for them, but you still have impacts with Doc and Silent. Something else that was a bit odd about the PB push was that they didn't have anyone covering the hatch. Both players had to drop and try to trade themselves out. With no one on that tower stairs, Silent couldn't really push his way in. The trades from AAA really won them that round just because P didn't have enough manpower to stop Spiker from swinging that doorway. So I think as long as AAA can keep up with the trades, they have a pretty good chance, and that is a great start from Ashen. Swinging out Classroom, catching Blaz behind the white van, and taking out the only set of nades on the attack.
Well, now I think that the bonus of not bringing that Jaeger is definitely multiplied at least 2 times. So Blaz goes down. That is one of the only players on Parabellum who's able to net themselves a kill. And with the frag grenades that we are talking about, Kool-Aid, Spiker gets away. A little bit of a risk there because the drone just had his position dead to rights. But Arial Arise survived. They don't have the Doc like they did the previous round, so Neo, Uzi, Ashen, their health is going to be exactly where it is. But so far, they're surviving. It might not be thriving, but now as Neo goes down, Arial are going to have to find some answers somewhere else. There's so much time for PB to work with.
Nice play from Spirits to kill the Attic player. That takes what little was left of Neo out. Now it's something else that AAA are going to have to stare at as they continue to worry about this play by Master. Ashen allowed into Trophy to kill Doc's teammate, since Doc just unfortunately was on a drone and no one else was there to watch the angle. It's not a freebie, though. Ashen gets refragged instantly, so we're once again down to a 3 versus 3. Ambi trying to get active, almost lands the headshot on the player by the satellite window. Like I said, AAA cannot turn their full attention towards that trophy walk-in because they have to worry about someone potentially Attic. But Spirits is now out of Attic, moves towards the trophy door, domes Ambi, got instantly traded by Spiker, who's still got a couple more gas canisters in pocket.
There wasn't a single kill in this round so far that has not been traded out between 2 of these teams. Eventually, someone is going to have to walk away with the win. You see Parabellum, they are hurt a little bit, and Spiker is going to be using final gas canisters with some time left on the clock. But PB, they have close to Attic control. Spiker is actually spotted, but he stays alive for now. Barely alive, but still has the ability to fire into Doc. He takes that player down and now just has to survive with his friend Uzi over in that dorms area. Kool-Aid now, he doesn't have the shotgun like he did in this certain scenario once before, but does he have information? Does he have anything else that he needs to potentially win it? He doesn't. Crow. So Arial Arise walk away with the 2nd round in a row, and it seems like Parabellum, they're putting up a little bit of a fight, but still AAA every single time.
The timing from AAA swings that round was just immaculate. Especially knowing that AAA are a team that's going to swing you. You almost have to be watching those angles. Someone's got to be gun up at all times. I mean, Ashen with a run out, then Doc getting on the drone at the wrong time, allowing Ashen into trophy. The point is not necessarily that every kill was traded, but that AAA started in the advantage when it comes to that trade game, especially with Spirits killing Ambi and then Spiker finding the immediate answer. The amount of crossfires and the amount of guns AAA had watching Trophy really lent them to success, because even though Spirits took that attic control, I mean, dropping down Pit there was a death sentence because of the footholes. He had to rotate, and AAA didn't really have to worry about someone pushing through attic anymore. They could continue holding that trophy door. Spiker played the gas really well, hit a nasty shot onto Doc, who overexposed himself to the doorway. Now AAA lead 2-up, but it is Oregon defense, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. I'm sure PB aren't really worried that yet, especially, or aren't that worried yet, especially considering how close the last round was. And curiously enough, AAA, rather than going meeting, opted for the much less played site.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Parabellum, they're actually not bringing any dedicated hard breach. They don't have it on the Buck. They just have the Montaigne. So on this dining area, they're not really going to be able to get small tower open, which is usually kind of the play. Like you go upstairs, put the thermite breach on the floor, even if there is wall denial, and then you just open it right up. Silent is gone. Within the first 30 seconds, Uzi peeks from master bedroom and takes out this PB player with Kool-Aid following. It's just falling apart at the seams before it even begins.
AAA are pushing into small tower. They even have the Warden up here. Neo behind a shield. Thunderbirds to assist. Ashen covering his bottom. Small Doc almost getting his head ripped off, but instead it's just damage. A nade being cooked, ready to clear that shield. Of course, there's no Jaeger or Ramai being played, so it'll go down for free, but that's going to prompt Neo to get aggressive. And he's still got that cover down below. If someone jumps in, they're going to have to be careful of a C4 potentially at their feet. And all Neo's doing is wasting time, but eventually Spirits walks up, peeks him on the window. Neo not looking the right direction. Almost another kill, another trade from that Aruni holding the long angle. Instead, it's Doc getting a kill, but 2 instant answers from Uzi. Uzi just running around the map, killing everything, apparently. And now Doc is left in a 1 versus 3.
Spear can't do everything right now. He's got 4 kills to his name. Doc could add on to that with potentially some kills of his own, but right now, I mean, he's just gonna die inside of the site. Parabellum just seem like they're getting split right at the seams, and Arial Arise, they're pushing the attack so far forward. PB aren't ready for that, and by the time that they're finished licking their wounds, Arial Arise are right there to finish the kill. So now they get to restart their sites. They get to go back down to basement, restart the cycle all over again.
I didn't even realize until Doc was in the 1v3 that Kool-Aid was Monty, because he died so fast.
I mentioned it, and it didn't even matter in the end.
Like, you said he was Monty, and then I was like, oh yeah, okay. And then he died, and I just forgot.
17, almost 18.
I think Spiker's of
Maybe
age.
I think Spiker just turned 18. They're just a bunch of babies.
Hold on, stop talking. Stop talking.
At least one in that first initial 3 rounds. And now AAA are playing a very different defense. The Oryx coming out from Ambi rather than the Jaeger he was last time. We'll probably still see a roam because, you know, what else are you going to do as Oryx? But now we've got Goyo and Smoke being played. Even more delay power for AAA. Playing the Cade as well to force those EMPs from the Thatcher, so Blaz has to swap off of something like that Zofia that he's been playing and be forced to bring those EMPs. AAA, I like that they're changing it. It's something that a criticism that we've had sometimes of AAA is that they can be a little bit stagnant. I mean, on their defenses, on their attacks, that they've relied so much on their skill that they've become a little bit stagnant. And even in the matches they're winning, they're kind of playing the same strats over and over again. But I'm really happy to see both in their last match and now this one that they're switching up those defenses.
Well, you can't call kills in like the first 30 seconds. Stagnant. When Uzi's peeking out of master bedroom. So yeah, some change on the horizon. So far, really working out for this team. They actually head back down to the basement, like I said, restart the cycle, bring out the Goyo, bring out the Kai. There's no Doc from Uzi, despite, I mean, I think that Doc was getting mileage with the Stims, with the MP5, but clearly right now the Electro Claw is more the play here. Still no Black Mirrors. So, I mean, maybe it's not part of their strat book, and even though sometimes with how Mirror can be played, you can kind of directly overlook Freezer simply inside of Supply Closet with really not much way for the attackers to counter you unless they directly know that you're there. But Arial, now you're going to have Ambi up by T3. There is no Amaru to quickly zip on up there, met with a bullet to the face. It's still going to be the same style of attack from Parabellum, the same style of operators, but clearly they cannot do what they've been doing before. It has just been met with a brick wall named Arial Arise Academy. Something needs to change.
At the very least, something on the defense has changed. They don't have Ambi on the top floor anymore. I think he's sort of towards meeting. Yeah, Ambi's like kitchen area. So Spirits isn't going to get his freebie upstairs, but he will be able to work this vert and try to force back the roam. And now Ambi, not dying to Spirits, actually gets an opener, killing Silent. That is Silent's second opening death in as many rounds, and he has yet to find the scoreboard. He's been a really big part of PB's success. I think the second highest rated player. No, actually, yeah, the second highest rated player, I think, after Doc. And right now, AAA is handling him.
Yeah, neutering him, essentially. He hasn't had the chance to really use his drones, use his Ash charges, use his gun as well. So, I mean, he's not the only one right now, as it seems like Parabellum mostly is just trying to fight fire with like a tiny little flame, not their own fire as well. So with Arial getting the opening pick, they lose the engagement with Ash, and his Blast is, I believe, trying to get the phone call, but he can't really take that risk because there's members of Arial Rise Academy waiting around the corner. Ambi peeking in from Supply. Neo, who's still hiding behind those boxes inside of Freezer. So even though they find the kill onto Ashen, the trade game has always favored Arial Rise Academy in every single one of these rounds. You cannot keep trading out because it's just going to be the defense always winning out.
Ambi taking the fight against Doc, and now against Spirits, watching two angles at once, destroys Kool-Aid on the pre-fire, and Spirits can't get the refrag because he's self-flashed. Now they probably know about the split. There was two Laundry and two coming down Freezer. They've taken out Spirits' support, but he's still got two kills now for himself through that Laundry double door, forcing Neo away with that nade. Spiker forced to pop the Goyo to keep Spirits as bay, so he can turn his attention towards Freezer. Spirits finally goes down, finished off by Spiker. Doc next to fall thanks to Uzi, and Blaz low HP, can't win the fight with the DMR. AAA shut down the Freezer's Laundry split and take their fourth defense in a row.
Someone help Spirits. He's not even on this team, Crow, and he's honestly doing a lot of the legwork. Right now, he's getting openers when the execution phase is happening. He's getting some of, considering their past record on that site, being victorious. So, I mean, Parabellum, it is just interesting to see how little of a fight it feels like they're putting up against this team when, I mean, some of us on the desk and in the booth did predict them. It's looking early on like that might have been a massive mistake, but I mean, it's round 5. Parabellum, still a lot of time to bounce back, but not a good look early on.
Yeah, if they can get these next 2 rounds, then it's a 4-2 half on Oregon. Like, they're chilling. What's not a good sign is that they just took a timeout and then lost the round immediately after. Never good. Never confidence inspiring. We'll see how they attack here. Pretty similar setup from AAA. Almost the same, I think. Spirits also making his way into tower very early on. Someone's watching the rafters. I think that's Ashen on the Oryx, but Spirits is ready for him, and Ashen gives himself up very easily.
and just add another kill onto the board. So Arial Academy aren't going to get that big opener that's always been there for them. So this attack might have found success, as now Doc enters Armory. Neo just seemed unprepared as Ambi kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. He just walks up. Armory isn't ready to take that engagement. So even though Parabellum does lose some bodies, they still have the advantage, a 2-man advantage at that. And so Uzi, he's got 8 kills. I mean, has he died?
No.
Yet I don't think he has died yet. He is going to have to be immortal, but he's not. Parabellum put an end to his undying streak and actually get one on the board, and it feels like it was just a flurry, a blink and you'll miss it round.
Yeah, not just Uzi, but also Spiker's first death. Both players were deathless until that round, but PB finally get one on them, especially with the opening kill onto Ashen. Spirits exuding that tower control. I like AAA's pushback towards the Armory side, but with Spiker trapped between a rock and a hard place and deciding to position himself directly in front of the satellite window, gave another freebie to Spirits, and from there, the round is pretty much over. Uzi stuck in that 1v3 in pit is not the situation you want to be in. So I admire AAA trying to get aggressive there, but PB were definitely ready for it. It's the first time they've really looked ready for it, and I commend them for it. Maybe they can get another round here, especially now that it's dorms again.
That one felt like Parabellum went inside the building, had an intention, and honestly had a lot of information. Like, you saw Spirits just kind of zip on up to T3 and just deadlock onto where Ashen was. I mean, we've seen an Arial or as Academy player play near there in a lot of these rounds, so it does make sense that someone would play there in a dorm site. So clearly Parabellum read into that. I mean, just flick through the book about as quick as they can and end up in a round wins. But Ashen playing in Classroom, will we see another little peek from Arial? We are going to see Ashen run on out. He should get detected. Just going to fire a little bit. I swear I heard.
I did too. But I think that was just a bug. Oh my god, whoa, he saw the buck. That was crazy. Ashen just no fear at all. They've even got the open games wall again. All right, so AAA still wanting to be aggressive. I also like the switch from Ambi, now playing in T3 of Tower, just in case Parabellum go for an Amaru play again. But they're not. Spirits is on Iana, because Silent has opted for Blackbeard, who has had a little bit of a resurgence. Who was it? Kristen, I think, that played Blackbeard like every round against?
I believe so, yeah, on our TV.
And now Silent will pick up the operator. Doc swings into Armory, gets frostmatted and impacted by Ashen. So I think the first kill, the opening pick, gets credited to Uzi there, but certainly wouldn't have been confirmed without the impact, considering PBR now standing on that master doorway. But Uzi immediately follows it up with another kill onto Blaz, who seemed to be solo pushing white. Now you don't have a Dokkaebi. You still have one set of EMPs from Silent, which aren't that big of a deal since there's no wall denial. Most important thing here is that AAA are in a 5 versus 3, and they have not taken a single point of damage yet.
There's something missing from Parabellum in this round that was there in the previous one. Intention. It feels like they came into this round and didn't have the intention that they previously did. So now they just have a little bit of aimless wandering. Ashen's allowed to push forward, takes a gunfight with this Yana, does more damage to Spirits, but still can't win anything. He backs off, and now it's just like a direct 1-for-1 damage trade between the two. But it's still Arial walk out on top because Spirits, he's low, a little bit low on health, about 50 HP, but those frag grenades, it doesn't even matter. He takes out Spiker, the plant denial operator in this, and unfortunately, Blackbeard's shield gets shattered, and so does his cranium.
Spirits traded out by that Wamai too. Kool-Aid the last one left, but he loses the swing to Ambi. Doesn't even get to confirm his kill, so it's just 1 kill in the round for Parabellum. AAA's last couple defensive successes being very dominant. That round, no exception. Started with that impact onto Doc and just kind of spiraled as PB continued to apply that armory and trophy presence. I mean, I talked about the most important thing being the fact that they were in a 5 versus 3, but they also still had the trophy shield up, meaning PB had to completely revisit their attacking strategy. Eventually, they sent Spirits up those main stairs, but the weakness of that is that Neo can just run away And now you have someone watching the angle, namely Ashen, who shattered the shield and took out the Blackbeard. So Arial Academy's aggression, sometimes it can come to haunt them, like it did in round number 5, but that's also PB's only round win. So more power to him. Now we'll see if AAA can keep this up on the attack.
Well, I mean, Parabellum, they're bringing out the Solus for the first time, and I think that is a good option. I mean, you have Ambi on the Nook, which, I mean, Solus can be a counter towards Nook, but it's kind of a right place, right time. If Ambi does get caught, it could be a very big information play for Parabellum, but overall, you shut down the information. That is mainly what Solus is for. Hunting down those drones in the prep phase, hunting down drones if they're being used in the actual round itself. And from then on, I mean, three are gone, and now 4. Arial are 6 drones. That's all they have for this round, and you can thank Blaz for that.
That's Solus proving powerful no matter what map she's on. There's better Solus maps than others, but she's never going to be weak. I do like the Nook pick from Ambi to come out, but remember, the Solus can spot the Nook if her Hell Presence... What is it? Hell Presence... something.
I always thought it was a scanner, but that's not right.
Hell Presence something is active. Blaz takes the initial fight against the Nook, since he was able to see Ambi on his drone, but takes the full brunt of the damage. He's not dead, so he's able to get back to site, and there's no remaining roam for PB, so at the end of the day, not really much. No harm, no foul. However, in bringing the Nook that was strangely absent from PB, Arial have a lot more nade presence.
Ooh, the skeleton key.
I saw the vision.
Yeah, it's not the gun you want in that engagement. The Mossberg will always win it out, so Arial Academy might just be going for a throw everybody down freezer stairs and hope you can get the kill onto Spheres. It seems like that's what they're setting up for. You are going to see the Gemini clone push forward, and with that shotgun blast, Spirit actually backs off, and Ambi is ready for the repeat. A great play from Arial Academy, making sure that Smoke doesn't have any presence in freezer or this round with a lot of time as well. I think you know, you lose Ashen, but you lose the Smoke on Parabellum. That is a trade that you really want in the end.
And Ashen, I think, was bringing... I don't think he had heart breach charges. I think he had stuns. So, not the biggest deal in the world. Ambi's still got nades. We'll use the last one to deal a little bit of chip damage to Silent, but most importantly, deal with his shield in Laundry. Still 2 nades from Uzi in his back pocket. Kool-Aid yet to find the scoreboard along with his teammate of Silent. They'll really be looking to pick it up on their defensive half. Here's the flank in from Blaz. Did the attack know about it? Clearly not. Neo hits the breaching charge just to make a rotate for himself, and instead gives an avenue for the defender to find the kill. Ambi eating even more damage as he tries to work his way in through Laundry, but he does get all the way in. Killed instantly by Silent, tucked in the corner. Make it 2 for the Warden. Finds the scoreboard quite loudly, and now leaves it all on to Spiker, who's got 1 kill. But still 3 to go and only 25 seconds remaining to do it. There's damage on Silent and Blaz, but not really too much of an advantage. It looks like he'll try to drop down this freezer hatch, pop flash his way in, but Kool-Aid finds the scoreboard as well. No more donuts and Parabellum, and their second point as well.
And it wasn't a similar situation between Parabellum's attack and Arial Academy's attack. There are different flaws in each. It was just Arial, I think, they got split a little bit. They truly didn't decide where they want to go, because they flushed out Freezer and then had a couple sent down there and then tried to throw Ambi and Uzi, I believe, near Laundry. And clearly there was some sort of information that wasn't there, because Ambi was fighting ghosts over in Supply Closet and did not know there was also a player right beside him, to the right of him. But there is 3 more rounds that Arial can give up before they really have to start sweating in this round. And you have to think, with the map that we're on, Parabellum got even 1 round with how iffy their attack was. So Arial, there's a lot of trust in them to notch at least 1 on the board.
Yeah, PB, great first defense. Hopefully it turns into more and they can win their own map pick. Of course, that is the map that, you know, if you lose, then you're really in trouble, especially considering Theme Park is AAA's home turf, like I said yesterday, and they look very good on it. Spirits, of course, leading the charge, as we've highlighted. The only player on Parabellum that is currently positive, as well as the only player on Parabellum to have any entry kills at all. He's 3-1, I believe, on the entry, and everyone else on PB has only suffered entry deaths. In fact, every other player except Kool-Aid has at least one entry death. Arial Academy has controlled the brunt of the early game so far, and they're going to need to continue that on this attack if they want to find any success with how Parabellum just played that last round.
And I want to remind you, Spirits is technically not part of Parabellum. Oh, Kool-Aid has this angle. All he needs is just to beat the shield. Ooh, popping his head like a grape, Crow.
And now, Spirits isn't the only member of PB with an opening pick. Kool-Aid chimes in with a beautiful shot from behind the shield. Ashen, unfortunately, waiting for help. Had to wait a little bit too long. Couldn't send his nades through because, of course, there's a Jaeger in play. Couldn't just safely assume that there wasn't covering anything. And I believe the only thing covering that shield is actually a singular Wamai disc. But, of course, he couldn't have known that. Looks like Ambi will be the next operator to step up to the plate, looking to come up those main stairs, which will force Kool-Aid off. But he'll go off the shield and down the white stairs. Instead, just shoots the drone. Gets back inside. The most dangerous thing here for PB is the fact that they don't have anyone downstairs. They may have those vertical angles. The vertical angles can also just be big targets for those nades.
Wow, you've got Arial pushing towards Trophy. You got them pushing up White, pushing up towards the big window, and there's a lot of engagements on both sides, but it's still Parabellum walking out on top because, well, now Arial, they've actually backed off. They're all the way over by Kitchen trying to find a frag grenade kill from underneath. It does fly through, but Silent's just a little bit too far away. So it's another round where Arial, they do find the opening death of Ashen. That's twice in a row now that he's died, but they don't have the direct answer like they did when shutting down Spirits. Spiker finds the headshot onto Spirits. I think you thank Hipfire a little bit there, but even that, even if you lose the smoke on Parabellum, the numbers advantage is still there for you. And I guess Frost Mats are like a 0.5, man.
He did just shoot the Frost Mat on the main window as Silent eats some damage from below, so now they know where each of these attackers are positioned. Spiker's smoke earlier was perfect should he want to vault himself through that big window, and it seems like that's going to be the play. He'll hop through off the cover of smoke as Uzi makes his way up White, but he won't make any headway at all. Silent shuts him down as well as the last player, and PB roaring into success so far with their first two defenses.
It's the first time they've been able to put 2 rounds together, and 2 definitive rounds for them. It's not one where it's just like, you know, a 1v1, 1v2. No, this was Parabellum walking in, making sure that Arial's executions didn't really have any snuff behind it, because every single time Ashen has been that first player down. That was a set of frag grenades that was off the boards. That was a player watching Master, or excuse me, watching Trophy that was simply gone. So you had to have somebody from Arial take his place and try to push Kool-Aid out of that Trophy area, of which took time. So first step, Ashen, please don't die first. Coordination is probably going to be key in making sure that, especially on this dining area, small tower is droned out, is coordinated with each other. Even if Ashen dies, make sure there is a direct trade, like there was on Spirits in that 7th round. Otherwise, I think we're going to see Parabellum run the cycle like we've seen Arial do on their defense.
We need to see Arial have better utility usage, or better positioning. That, I mean, that white push just got crushed. And the whole idea of taking Trophy, even though you could just kind of walk up main and deny that shield, is the attic angle that we saw Ambi die to. It's such a hard angle for the attack to fight, especially if 2 people are holding it. That's the main thing stopping a straight up walk up. And with Ashen dying, that was Ambi's only real option. And he loses that fight because most attackers are going to lose that fight. And then all you have left are all 3 attackers coming from the same direction. Now Parabellum doing their best AAA impression with a small tower hold. But small tower hold might get ignored. They're setting up for a rush in through green. There's the sledge popping. all the way down Green Hall. The attackers trapped on the kitchen door, waltz their way in, now have control of one of the sites. Ambi almost gets caught by the player swinging the doorway, but the plant is going down. C4 in the wrong spot. He's protected behind that metal box. Neo's going to be the opening death, but they still get that plant down. Ambi dies, coming off the plant. Upstairs is Uzi, looking to provide some vertical assistance. Ashen with a kill of his own. Spiker trades 1-for-1. Silence now dead, and it's a 2 versus 1. Arial Academy's rush plant has paid dividends, but they're so low HP. This is winnable for Kool-Aid as long as he plays the positioning right, but the nade forces him up the stairs into the waiting arms of Uzi, and AAA stop the bleeding to put themselves on map point.
There's the sunk cost fallacy, knowing that a frag grenade was there, he's been found out, or at least it was a good positioning nade that maybe you just keep somebody away from that white stairs. But overall, Arial Academy, a wonderful quick play to say, okay, we're using our drones. They don't have a Solus. They don't know that we droned out this area. Let's just hit it. And it pays off wonderfully in dividends, like you said. So they got the one that they need, and now it's just putting that finishing touch. So now Parabellum, they bring out a Solus for that basement, and I don't know if a Solus would have been the answer to that previous round, because Arial Academy, you don't make that choice based off of intuition alone. You have to do something off of knowing that, hey, they've got a lot of roamers scattered around the map, but they're not setting up a lot of site utility in the right way. So off of that information, rush. Do what you need to do as an IGL and make that risk that can pay off wonderfully. So Arial, they get like the one, like I mentioned, but now they have to go back to rounds that they previously were unsuccessful on. And if PB do win the next 2 rounds, go back to potentially that dining kitchen meeting area, you can't rely on a rush again.
Unless they do.
I mean, no one would expect it twice.
They're crazy. I mean, yeah, we saw it from reality TV, and it worked on Border. Right, the whole they're not going to expect us to do it twice strategy. It pays off sometimes.
I'm believing in Parabellum a little bit more than that.
It would be really funny if it did, though.
It would.
But for now, we have to deal with a basement push. Ashen watching Freezer. He just saw the laser of Spirit, so he should know the smoke is holding on to this with a shotgun. Once again, the skeleton key. Although, actually, a pretty good shotgun in combat if you're ADS'd with it. Not quite as good as the Mosper, which is, of course, one of, if not the best shotgun in the game. So, as you see, 888 taking it a little bit slower, making sure they have all this map control fully as they confirm with their drones. There was someone placed on the tower stairs looking to shoot drones. They've been forced back. Ashen tries to catch them on the retreat, but no cigar.
Running around like he's got a shotgun in Call of Duty with the information of that drone. So a lot of bravado from Arial early on. So I think you find the kill onto Doc, we could see a full go but style of play. That pillar is now clear. Maybe they just want to once again go for it. That blitz rush. Not a blitz shield rush, a blitz rush in which Parabellum are just unable to counter the sheer numbers that are coming at them in Arial as attackers. But now it's a little bit of hesitation. They do almost find a little bit of damage onto Doc, but it's still with the amount of time on the clock. Arial can try their hand at opening this E-box hatch, try their hand at potentially finding a player or two by this area, since they have positioned somebody in the stairs. They have positioned a couple people over by bunker. It's just potentially catching a player or two, just slipping a little bit too far away from their allotted zone.
That's what's tough about pushing basement, is that unless your coordination and utility usage is really on point, sometimes it comes down to whether or not a defender makes a mistake. And if they don't, more often than not, they'll end up winning the round. Flashbangs coming out from both Ashen and Spiker to herald the push, but there's a gas canister in response. In comes Ambi. Dies immediately. The Silence still playing behind the shield. More kills going Parabellum's way as AAA get completely shut down. Tried to rush on in. Elbow shield. Shut down the first player. Stopped Ambi from exuding his presence and helping that E-box drop, meaning the players dropping E-box just get dusted, and that's an easy defense for PB.
There was just no entry for Arial. They had to try to get something done honestly out of nothing. They hadn't cleared the shield. They hadn't cleared anything over by pillar. They set up the pretext for the execution, but then actually didn't really follow through with it. And that was the main thing, I think, that was the shield. The fact that the smoke canister pushed the attacker forward. Who is waiting? Right around the corner. It's silent with that SMG-11, and it felt like one of the easiest kills he had. He exactly saw where the player was, just pops right up, finds the kill, and it's just a snowball from there on out. So Parabellum, they get to walk out of dorms with still an easy defensive win. It's I think the second dorms defense that we could see Arial find their footing in. Parabellum can get caught off guard if they play their cards right, if they don't send Ashen all alone by that master area trying to peek the shield and just die for it. But clearly Parabellum, they're trying to dedicate a lot to the attic area and the trophy room. So maybe Arial, if they try for more potentially big window, white stairs, maybe get a frag grenade kill from underneath. That's something they tried almost all night, but haven't really been successful at so far.
Yeah, PB are closing the gap. They were down 5-1 at one point. Now we're within 2 rounds of overtime. They do, though, have to win this Dorms defense. They looked good on it last time. I mean, I'm going to assume Ashen doesn't give himself away really early, so I assume AAA will have a better trophy clear. You can see Kool-Aid prepped and waiting for that exact rappel spot just in case they go for it again. In the meantime, Ashen has switched to the bottom of the barricade, prone on the balcony, watching the slit under Master as Ambi clears in down below. Hunting for Doc, melees the goo, but that's still going to give the Legion a sound cue. Here comes the swing, and Ambi still wins it. Opening pick for Arial ACAD, and now they can start sending up these depth charges.
That's exactly what they needed, and now it's just the site that they have to focus on. Frag grenade kills, I think that you have to find something with these frag grenades. There are 6 of them. One of them was decently close to getting something done, but you have so much more to your name with so much time, and all you have to do, drain out those ADSs. Ashen, I mean, maybe they're trying to root out the shield from underneath, and that's where Ashen is just going to spring, but I don't know what he's going to accomplish with nobody getting the frag grenade kill, nobody getting that Ash charge.
There it is.
That's what it is. Kool-Aid stepping out, and all that Ash needs to do, look a little bit to the right, and there is Parabellum starting to crumble, not truly dead yet, as they still could technically pick up Kool-Aid, but Spirits is hanging on a razor's edge right here, about 20 HP. Ashen pulls on up, and the SMG-11 just can't get it done. Ashen runs out of bullets, and now it's just Blaz bleeding on 1 HP. Will go for the revive on Kool-Aid. That's honestly the only chance he has at walking away with this.
In the meantime, while he went for that revive, AAA has stormed into the site. Kool-Aid easily finished off by Uzi holding the pixel, and Blaz downstairs finished through the floor by Uzi. AAA, round 11, a resounding success. That's what they were looking for with that initial split push. I love Ashen being patient, knowing that, you know, against Kool-Aid on that shield, not a very advantageous gunfight. So what does he do? He opts the bottom angle, waits for Kool-Aid to peek out after they know Ambi is downstairs because he got that opening frag, plays the patient game, catches Kool-Aid, and the real downfall of that round, and I can't even fault Parabellum for it, because they tried to go for the play, they forced themselves back into trophy, knowing that it's a split push again, because AAA did it last time. They already killed Ambi because Blaz hit a really nice shot. Again, hard fight for the attack to win, but they play it like trophy is the Alamo. They storm in, trying to support Kool-Aid, trying to get that res, trying to take advantage of the fact that Ashen is alone and might be a little bit greedy. But Spirits ends up dying for it, and Blaz gets taken to 1 HP. And because they rotate 2 of those defenders to help Kool-Aid, AAA, Ashen's probably calling out, guys, they're on me. Storm sight. Those 3 guys push Silent. There's nothing Silent can do in that 3v1. Really, really well played to AAA.
And the inability to kill Ashen there just crippled PB. The fact that they had to trade out the smoke, essentially trade out all of Blaz's health just to make sure that one player
spent like 3 for 1.
I mean, exactly. You put like 5 more bullets in that G36, he wins that. Literally, like, That would have been, I think, probably the epic finish for Arial Rise Academy. It's not as, you know, bravado, but it is still final. It's what they needed to put the finishing touch on this map. Win 7-4 over Parabellum on a pretty good map as well. So now they get to go to Theme Park, which is their map, and you have to be feeling confident in this AAA team after what you've seen on this previous map and what you've seen from them going into this next map.
Absolutely, especially not only being a good map for PB, but also a map that AAA have consistently banned every single play day but one, giving us a statement saying that, you know, we might ban the map, but we're still comfortable on almost all 7 of them. Or it's not a 7 map pool anymore, it's 9 on all 9 of them, or close to it. Either way, first map done and dusted. PB looking rough. Back to the desk to digest that before we go on to map number 2.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the desk. Corbeck here, and I must admit, a little bit of egg on my face and on Klimps' forehead, because I don't think either of us saw that one coming. Nick sure did, though, so credit where credit is due. Arial Rise Academy coming out here on Oregon, putting the screws on Parabellum, who, I mean, they fought back a little bit right there, guys, but it didn't feel particularly convincing. Just kind of looking at it here, I mean, I'll be honest, Nix, you win. What do you got to say for yourself here in the flush of victory?
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, I told you they were going to come out and they were going to get sweaty. They have so many things still, you know, up their sleeves, things we haven't seen happen. I've got to give a little bit of a notion here to the unusual operator play when it came to that diffuser. Seeing the buck just right out of the gate, like with the diffuser, like I'm not quite sure if they were trying to play a mental mind game with Parabellum, but every time I saw it, I was like, hold on, wait, why'd that buck got that diffuser?
Yeah, you commented on that, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of weird, and whatever. If it works, it works. I mean, I guess you got to pick up the slack here, Klimps. I'll leave it to you to defend our position on this one as we look at the stats for the map.
Let her brag. Let her brag. I mean, Parabellum had some serious issues when it came to tight. Silent wasn't showing up at all in the entry category on attack. When it came to the defense, he was able to step up a little bit and get a couple rounds. But on attack, dead silent. And, well, for matching his name, no pun intended, but intended, he was quiet. And he is such a big factor for Parabellum when it comes to the entry. And when you look at the other side, you look at AAA, Uzi, pop it off. Have a night. And Spiker as well, someone who, when Crow and I casted the LG AAA game, it was Spiker's revenge. It was Spiker's night to go huge. He fell short, very flat, in fact, in that match, but almost on a bigger stage, arguably in semifinals of SCS, having one hell of a map 1 in the series.
Klimps, I've got to point something very important out here.
I want to hear it.
I've got to. By the time we got to round 7, both Kool-Aid and Silent were at full donuts. 100% full donuts. And that's not something you would expect from a team like Parabellum. Like, I'm telling you, Arial Arise just came out. There was 2 things that they had on their side, and it was cohesion and frost mats and arsenal.
There was a little bit, I think, of the defender advantage, too, that helped them dig out of those donuts. But it wasn't on their side all the time. I know there's a specific round we want to look at. It's round number 9. You guys probably remember it, the rush coming into the bomb site. Klimps, you want to walk us through this one? Because I know you were so excited when you saw this go down.
I saw 4 bodies stacked up going into T1, and I knew it was happening because I've seen Parabellum so many times on this defense focus so much on that small tower hold. And so many teams struggle to hold against it. They try to fight it, and they fail miserably because Parabellum sends all of their forces there. And you know what? Credit to them. They nearly had the retake of the Sentry Kool-Aid with a very winnable situation, but in a 1v2, you've got to find 2 bodies. The diffuser's down. It's just less than likely to happen, but it was an awesome round to see AAA use some of their prep work. You could tell that they did their homework. They knew this was a thing that PB was going to do. They like that kitchen dining bomb site, which is not so often on Oregon. You don't typically see teams go there, but PB love that bomb site, have loved that bomb site throughout all of SCS Season 7. And AAA exposing the giant hole that every team could have had the opportunity to, and finally they were the ones to go ahead and do it.
I got to admit, yeah, it was an emotional roller coaster of a round. I think we were up and down, but I'm actually going to look ahead to our next map, and I'm going to echo your words. The casters have already foreshadowed this, by the way, but I'm going to echo your words, Clips, which is Arial Rise Academy theme park is their stomping ground, right? I think that was the specific terminology you used. And yeah. That was
I'm not
before
looking
you
too good
predicted
on my
Parabellum was
prediction
gonna win
right
too.
now.
Come
I'm
on.
not looking too great right now. Listen, I mean, we haven't seen Parabellum play theme park at all since stage 2 of the NAL. So, and that was week 1. So that is like 6 months ago. That's half a year. That's with a very different roster. Gunner was still on the Parabellum roster at the time. Penguin was still on that roster at the time. So that's a very different Parabellum team than what we see tonight, especially after they struggled so much on Oregon in their rounds. I don't love their chances here on theme park, if I'm honest. I hope something's gonna come out, and with it being a mystery, who knows?
It's gonna be a mystery. That's for sure. I don't know that we're gonna particularly like the conclusion of that mystery. I mean, Nix, you gotta say, like, you're the one we're trusting right now. What are you gonna see here on this theme park map? You think this is gonna be a stomping ground, as Clemson said?
Well, I do have to give some credit to Parabellum just because it is the best and probably the most reliable iteration of the squad that they've had. So you would expect them to come out swinging, but this is Arial Arise's pick. This is their map where they thrive, and this is where we have seen some very insane things happen. Even in just as recently as Solar Flare. Granted, they didn't have Neo, but you know, strats don't really change too much when you have such a staple your roster for as long as you do. So honestly, yeah, we're gonna have a stomping ground.
I think we said it in the break or in the match. It's their home. It's Arial Rise Academy's home, and it's gonna be every child's dream, right? Living in a theme park, all the rides, all the access you want. It's about to turn into a nightmare here for Parabellum, and the hosts for that horror are gonna be your casters. I'll turn it over to them. Take it away, Rowan Light Rose.
Thank you very much, Corbeximus. Theme park is next, V. And I gotta say, ever since this map came out, it has always been very near and dear to me. I freaking love this map. Of course, it kind of sucked before, but with the revamp and when it got entered into comp, I've always loved this map. And I gotta say, the fact that AAA is one of the only T3 teams to play this, them and JJ actually, and them being the only T3 teams left, you know, coincidence? I think not.
Yeah, now that you can actually see in the map the lighting being actually usable, Arial Arise are able to see potentially their future.
And the fact that train is no longer a thing.
Yeah, just kind of squish them together, make an actual good map. That's crazy. I think that actually, I feel like the Arial Rise Academy 64, I think that's accurate with the chances of Parabellum into this one. Everybody is kind of on the side of AAA here. I mean, I can't change my prediction. I already said Parabellum would walk into this one, but they come here, bring out a Thatcher ban early on. It's not going to be anything we saw before. I think Ying will be able to make it through. Will Nook be the ban for Arial Rise? Nope, it's going to be Dekebi. Yep. So Thatcher, I mean, I feel like that is mostly pertinent towards that throne room site.
Thatcher's a very good ban on theme park, considering it's pretty hard breach centric, I would say. The Dokkaebi makes sense because, well, we're talking about AAA. They love roaming around. They love running around. Theme park, a very big map, and Dokkaebi definitely aids that roam clear, something that AAA don't want PB to have. And with Mira being banned last, it leaves Solitz up once again. And I think theme park is better than Oregon with a Solus, and PB are immediately going to keep playing her.
Yeah, I don't think you swap off of the Soul. She can be a real execution counter. She can stop information where it stands. And I think that's probably what needs to happen. Arial Rise, they need to get... The tree needs to be chopped at the roots before it's really even allowed to grow in this entire map. Because Arial, they get 2, get 3 early on, this team will be unstoppable. They will go absolutely snowballing their way towards a victory because why wouldn't they? They already have the previous map victory. They already know how to play the heck out of this map, and Parabellum, I think they're mere rounds away from being slowly diminished to, well, potentially third or fourth in SCS. We'll have to see if Parabellum come into this map, change a lot of things that they need to, and really steal this map away from AAA.
They better run it up on the defense. That's going to be a big part of winning this map against AAA, is taking a 4-2, maybe even a 5-1 half. We talked about AAA's attacks being their weaker side. I mean, they only won. There were 5 rounds played in the second half. AAA only won 2 of them, but because of how good they were on the defense, 2 was all they needed. So they only had that 40% attacking win rate, which is their average across every map. However, here on Theme Park, it's their best attacking map. So it's normally you want to run up the score on Theme Park on defense anyway. Even more important against a team like AAA.
So far, Parabellum, they're not doing the aerial rise problem of immediately facing their opponents, or at least aerial rise are being a little bit more conservative, droning out. It's pretty important on Theme Park, especially because you do not want to engage Doc head on with those Kiba barriers, with everything around him, but Ashen just kind of walks straight up in, and that's exactly why Spirit, hanging in initiation, just gets the first kill of the entire map, and it is Ashen, who was a little bit of a problem for AAA when it came to his entry deaths, but overall, it is still an area where Uzi can find an easy refrag. There goes Doc. Doesn't even blink before he finds the kill, but he can meet Spirit face to face, but that drone does all the work for him, and now Spirit might walk away with the death.
But instead, it's Blaz to come up and assist. I think coming up the arcade stairs, Spirits gets downed, but Blaz has the res. So AAA come away the losers of the initial roam clear. The defense getting back to the site. Arial Academy losing out on the opportunity. Unless Spirits re-engages, it looks like he's interested in coming back up the staircase. Spiker opening up that split hatch, making that position a little more exposed, denying some of the rotatability for this defense. Where did Spirits go? It looks like Spirits is actually, yeah, not upstairs. He's Drug Lab instead. Ambi dropping down, playing the Jackal, getting a very nice headshot onto Silent to even the man count. That is the equalizer AAA are looking for. If they can pin down Spirits, they're looking really good heading into this execute, but Blaz is looking to assist once again. Almost chasing down Ambi, positioning himself in Harry Potter to watch this yellow breach, something that Arial like ACAD might not expect.
You're gonna see Spiker. See some little bit. I don't know what the yellow breach was for, but Ambi has been caught out by Blaz, and now just the patience that we've seen from some of these teams, especially Arial, in the last round of the last map, it pays off. Spiker walks down that yellow stairs right into Harry Potter, where Blaz was previously, and is met with bullets from Blaz. So Parabellum might get the first round on Arial Academy's map pick, and this is exactly what they needed to open it up. It's a huge confidence boost, and it one that maybe changes how we feel about things, but it is only the first round. PB needs to put up a couple more for opinions start to change.
PB's info game maybe lacking a little bit there on that initial roam clear, with Ashen walking his way in, dying for free. It was a good refrag from Uzi. It's kind of like there was no info, and then there was a lot of info that AAA were acting really well off of, and then there was no info again. It was that drone coming in. They knew that Spirits was making the rotate, but the drone was a little bit late spotting him out still in break. I think if the drone was there earlier, Uzi takes the fight earlier and probably wins it, but because of that slow push-up, because Uzi lost, didn't lose the initial fight, but couldn't win the initial fight, thanks to the how small the angle was on that doorway, that allowed Blaz the time to rotate up and assist, and Blaz was just a menace on the whole map, getting 3 of those kills. Actually a buddy ace between him and Spirits to give Parabellum a much needed opening round.
That's the thing, is it wasn't exactly timing as well, because Blaz was almost there in an instant. So you might have had like maybe small times, but overall Blaz's positioning, I think, was one of the things that probably gave Parabellum the round. Just now, he's on the Warden, and will we look to Blaz? Spirits was kind of in the previous round that you're hoping Parabellum would help him somehow. He was absolutely putting up entry numbers, putting up regular numbers as well. And, well, now maybe a cohort has joined him in his career to maybe take down Arial Arise Academy. But so far, Parabellum, they are playing far around the map. I like Spirits hanging over by this dragon window. We'll have to see if he actually meets an Arial A-count attacker face to face.
He very well might. A lot of these attackers pretty spread out, it seems. One at the bottom of those cafe stairs, one on the roof, one on the brake rappel. They are very scattered. Seeming like they're looking to take those individual 1v1 engagements while they're clearing through the map, and of course, planning on winning them. I hope so for their sake, but PB, if there's one thing they've proved, is that they can still hang with AAA when it comes to that pure fragging department if they're taking the 1v1s. And with defense, you expect that you're just going to start with better positioning. Again, you know, considering that you are the defense. Uzi gets his initial drug cleared, moves up towards bathroom. Blaz, I think, hears him, which will prompt him to work his way back up the yellow stairs. Uzi not going to peek it for now. More interested in getting some nades in from below.
Blaz playing a little bit of hide-and-go-seek between these two players. Blaz, I think the barrier, the banister, the one thing that blocks his shots is now Uzi takes a fight with Spirits, wins that out. Is Blaz still hiding by the yellow stairs? He's actually going to walk down it, and Uzi is prepared for this. Oh! Walks away. I'm surprised he didn't hold that angle, goes back to exactly where he was, and still wins the engagement. That is all on Blaz and Parabellum.
Now the Yin Candelas come out, heralding an execute, perhaps, with Ashen on that break window, but he dies to Doc. Uzi can't make his way up yellow stairs. Silence going huge as he cuts down Ambi. Neo's got 1 kill in this round, but he's going to have to find 2 more if AAA want to win it. Silent now regrouping with Doc in bunk so they can play the trade and play off of each other. Neo working with very little info, checking yellow stairs, busting his way into bunk. Doc is on the other side of that wall. Silent positioned in initiation, watching his teammates cross. Silent with an attempted plant. Nothing that PB can do to stop it indirectly, trying to bait out some fights. Neo now repositioning. Looking to maybe get the drop on this Wamai. Doc is playing very passive, now on top of the mattress. Pretty safe corner to play with, and the Sledge has wasted a lot of time. Overswings. Doc cleans him up, and PB, off the back of Silent, holding down top yellow, take their second defense in a row.
A wonderful bounce back from them. I thought that the moment Blaz died to Uzi, that was it. The Yin Candelas fly in, but here comes Silent. Walking his way out of that other side of the map, finds the kill in the yellow stairs, finds the kill out of the player walking out of Cafe, and just reasserts Parabellum's dominance over that entire site, and just shuts everything that Arial Academy built just like that. So we'll have to see if, going into the 3rd round, if Parabellum continue. I think they find the kills onto the players hunting down roamers. They play around Uzi a little bit better, actually, you know, kill him with the 2 bodies that they send down. It's almost a sure win for Parabellum because they found a good way to counter what Arial Academy are bringing to the table, which is a little bit of that split push. Silent's able to take a lot of these 1v1s around the site, which, I mean, if you were certain players, that is what you absolutely love. It's where you thrive. And Arial Academy need to find a way to either play the buddy system, maybe take a lot less of those 1v1s in key positions, or just make sure that there's less Parabellum bodies to take those 1v1s.
5 seconds left.
I think if Doc's stuck on that plant, he could have perhaps had a better chance. There's, again, nothing indirectly to stop him. He was behind the train, so it's not like anyone could have had an angle on him unless the Jaeger swung all the way out from waiting, or if Doc pushed all the way up. Unfortunately, Neo just made the decision to go for the kills, and it didn't go his way. Now AAA find themselves in an 0-2 deficit on a map that they have their best attacks on, typically. Ashen will pick up the IQ, try and maybe counter the Soulless. Of course, they can spot each other on each of their respective scanners. The main difference being that IQ has the privilege of being gun up. Not with a primary, but at least with a pistol, so it's something. The first target from this attack going to be Spirits, but instead Blaz, supporting him on those dragon stairs, lops the head off of Uzi.
Oh, another Arial Academy member gone. Parabellum, they shut down a player that caused them a little bit of trouble in the previous round, as Neo is going to hit that. It's going to probably jump on in, and just like that, it leads straight into the line of sight of Ambi. So Spirit is gone. A good refrag with, well, Arial Academy can continue to shift their way towards the actual rest of the second floor. The two players that are holding that dorm's area, and there's a lot of time for Arial to work with. They have a lot of utility, still 2 alliances as well, and using the time wisely. It's just about winning a lot of these gunfights, playing around each other, because it can so easily slip away from them, Pro.
Nice fight taken by Silent, the off angle, catching Spiker off guard, looking for more. Ambi just behind the breach, swings out, but can't pull the trigger in time. Either that, or maybe he didn't even see Silent running away. Silent escapes for now as the rest of AAA make their way through the other side of the top floor, face checking everything, making sure that Cafe is cleared. Little do they know, there's no one on the top floor. Actually, there is. Someone on PB trying to work a back flank. Already upstairs. I don't even know who that is. I think it might be
Silent.
Is it Silent?
Oh, no, Silent's in the site.
It's Blaz.
It is.
Blaz is back upstairs, and using the Solus, you can probably see that there's no drones watching him. But the way AAA are playing, they don't seem to be aware at all. Ashen's taking the fights downstairs, though. Equalizes the man count, but there's Blaz on the top ropes, making his presence known, and now AAA scramble. The Lion Scan being hit. Ambi gets the refrag. 2 versus 2. 25 seconds remaining in dock. A power position. If AAA don't clear this, he could single-handedly shut this attack down, but he'll instead work his way towards yellow. Neo's got to look the right way. He'll shoot the camera, take the fight, but lose it. And now it's all on Ambi. Jumps through the window. Kool-Aid playing close with the SMG-11 is not going to lose that. And off the back of Blaz with the flank. PB 3 in a row.
And surprisingly, Arial just can't really put that finishing touch on it, even though they hold that top floor, or so they think. With Blaz, I think it just the not having the flank drones that Blaz, even though Blaz would be able to see it, it's that presence that somebody is watching. If that drone gets shot, that will be communicated to the rest of Arial Academy, knowing that, okay, you guys got to be careful. That if Blaz does commit to the roam, they at least know that somebody is up there, but they didn't. So Blaz was able to get the kill, which then means Arial had to focus on the player up on the second floor. Focus on the execution and focus on still trying to find that vertical, all with a slowly diminishing timer. So Arial now taking a pretty justified timeout. We're about halfway through this first split, and Parabellum get to go back to Throne Room, an area where, honestly, the way that Parabellum have been holding that top floor, I think they should succeed, because Arial haven't done a bang-up job at really finding a lot of these roamers, and if they continue to be lackluster and hunting them down, actually killing them, that is the main problem, then you're just going to see Parabellum hold down that site like a bastion, a fortress, not give it up, and Arial just cannot do anything about it.
I do also agree with the timeout. Better they take it now than on their defense, where they tend to thrive. I think it might even be a waste to hold it until then. And AAA are retaking the Jackal for Armory Throne, as PB have played upstairs pretty consistently. And they're now bringing Capitao. On Throne, I'm trying to think where you'd put him. They played for a yellow breach last time. I mean, you could smoke off either side of Pillar, I guess. But that also requires you to clear the furnace corner. And that's kind of tough. You can't really get an angle to flame it off either.
I mean, maybe back of Throne? Like, it's just, there's not...
Yeah, I guess you could flame back of Throne and smoke off the breach to make your way in. I don't know. I'm a little confused.
It just feels like Capitao... Maybe it's something that Arial are going to actually have a plan for. But as they swap onto the Yang, I think that is a
that makes more sense.
It is going to help you in the breach. Probably not for that roam that I think is the main problem for Arial Academy. I mean, Blaz, Spirits, who, even though Spirits isn't putting up the numbers that he did in the previous series, he's also only got 2 deaths. Parabellum aren't really dying a lot, and you know that is that main problem for Arial Academy, not getting a lot of these kills. You're seeing, I mean, Uzi and Ambi are the only ones. Neo and Ashton putting up 1 kill apiece, and Spiker's still at 0. And compared to the first map, I mean, it's night and day between these two teams. And maybe that is just the curse of today, that you just get some of those matches where you just look not good on your own map pick, but look amazing on your opponent's map pick. But then that all comes down to the decider, who is going to jump out and be on top.
We'll have to see. Of course, there is a whole defensive half still to play, but if PB can rack up the score, they'll be looking pretty good. Doc actually kills Uzi there before the nade goes off. So, a little bit of a martyrdom. Spirits, though, tags on and kills Ambi, meaning you've lost 3 members of AAA to a price of 1, and damage on the Spirits, lighting him up to low HP. Ashen and Neo with 2 minutes to play with, a kill apiece, and a 2 versus 4 on one of the best sites in the game. Now, luckily, there's no wall denial on at least maintenance. The Cade's probably allocated to Yellow and Barrel, or probably that split hatch as well. Really well-placed impact will get rid of one of those Selmas, but not the other, and Neo finally cleared to open up this thrown wall. But with the advantage PB have accrued, I'm a little bit, like, I don't know how AAA can create an opportunity for themselves to win this. Might come here, but Kool-Aid quickly runs off. Ashen tries to make a stance and split, but dies to silence. Only 1 kill for him. And yeah, Neo's not making it through those footholds. PB, 4 defenses in a row, starting off just as strong as AAA did on the previous map.
And the only way that Parabellum lose that is if they do what they were actually criticizing Arial about, and is to just get antsy, walk outside, and try to take unadvantageous gunfights, and that's something Parabellum did not do. It just bolstered inside of the site, and I mean, I loved seeing Blaz try to throw, like, pigskins over the mountains with the impact. It was enjoyable to see, but even then, it didn't matter if the heart breach got opened or not, because at the end of the day, Arial still had to try to execute with about 3 or 4 Parabellum members. It was all about what Parabellum did in that situation. They did not play it incorrectly, just waited back. Even though they did lose Blaz, it was just still the sheer numbers advantage that they had at the end of the day. Plus, you know, that 6th man, that timer, was starting to tick up against Arial Academy. So now Parabellum, 4 in a row. They put up 4 in the previous matchup, but I mean, it was very different circumstances. Arial Academy was on map point, or getting close to map point for most of that. In this one, they're just putting up a fat goose egg.
Very, very interesting. So if PB take this next round, we will have, at the very least, possibility for a repeat of what we saw in the last map. Arial really need these next couple rounds. And I mean, actually, just like we saw last map as well, with PB losing 3 in a row and then losing the round after their timeout, same thing just happened to AAA. If the trend continues, they should win here, bringing the Capital once again, who I think may be more useful here on Bunk. But we'll have to see how they play with it. For now, a lot less scattered than it was previously, looking like they're mainly going to be focused with Cafe, with perhaps Spiker hitting a solo lurk in the back.
And be just a repeat record overall. And well, if we are going to see a pattern, that means that Arial Academy would find a round here, but it's not in the same style that Parabellum won their attack. When Parabellum won their only attacking round on Oregon, it was lightning fast. It was with, I said it, intention. And that's not really what we're seeing from Arial. We're seeing a lot of the same previous styles of attack. Droning early, even though there is no Solus on Parabellum to shut down the drones, Arial aren't really doing a lot with that information because there isn't a lot they can do. Parabellum is playing a lot around each other, and even if Arial were able to find a kill or two, a refrag could be just around the corner. So, I mean, Arial, this is a hard puzzle that they are somehow going to have to figure out, and if Parabellum play it correctly, do not take those unwinnable engagements like I talked about in the previous round, I think there's no way that Arial really cracks the code, especially with just how much time Parabellum are just continuing to waste off the clock.
It honestly seems like the teams have just switched between last map and now. The trade potential, the togetherness we saw from AAA's defenses, even not necessarily the aggression, but Parabellum have been aggressive up to a point. We've been seeing, like, just like we saw from AAA on their defenses. I admire the attempt from Arial ACAD to try and get something going on the arcade stairs. Ashen just dies immediately. Spiker drops down the hatch, gets one for himself, but PB are still winning the trade game. They thought it may have been an opening to allow them up arcade stairs, but they were sorely mistaken. Blaz shoots Neo in the back to finish the round, and PB go up 5-0.
That's the thing. They are not letting Arial get any advantages. They're not creating any small gaps that Arial can just find a way in and wedge this defense apart. It's so tight-knit that it is impressive that Parabellum was able to do that in map 1 and then do this in map 2. Just completely two opposite spectrums. And maybe that's just the power of the PB defense, that they're on theme park. I feel like I don't know if the devs talked about it. Have we seen Parabellum on theme park?
I think they said not since stage 2 of NAL.
Okay, so you don't have Silent and Packer. I mean, you know, Spirit. I guess you might consider that he's part of when definitely Parabellum went to theme park last, but they have not dropped anything on this map. Clearly, they have plans. They know what to do around this map. And Arial, even though the desk just hammered it home that this is their home, they're just lost, looking for somewhere to call a shelter.
Yeah, the attack's not nearly as on point as they were yesterday. PB have just been running all over them, looking really, really good while doing it. Also been kind of the Blaz, Spirits, and Doc highlight reel. Those three players leading the charge for PB. Well, of course, Silent having a standout round for himself as well. And AAA have been struggling to find not only frags in general, but especially entries. And it's something they rely pretty heavily upon when it comes to their attacking side, getting those opening picks, making sure they have some sort of advantage going into the execute. And PB haven't allowed that. There's been one singular round that AAA were able to get that opening pick, and it was when Uzi had the two-piece downstairs, but when it came to the execute, Doc and Silent shut them all down.
Who takes a little bit of damage over, I believe, on that western side, as the line has been a pivotal part in a lot of these entries, but when it comes to actually finding some of those kills, making opportunities off of those kills, Arial haven't found a way to do that. And with Parabellum actually backing up, continuing to play around each other, Arial, they are allowed to take a lot more map control, but if Parabellum take these engagements, Doc takes a lot of damage but doesn't die. Kool-Aid still breathing. That's the one thing, is Arial cannot confirm these kills because Parabellum just bob, weave, duck, dive, dodge their way around the entire map and continue to just lurk in the nightmares of this attack.
And now 4 of them are rotating downstairs? Oh, it's lab. Oh my god. Oh, I just had a heart attack. I forgot they just won bunk. All good. Never mind, I'm stupid. So they rotate downstairs, which makes sense considering they've already wasted like a minute 40 losing no one, just HP off Doc and Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid, who actually was damaged on site by a Rotero drone, I believe, that destroyed his shield. So AAA have made little to no headway. And now they have to worry about the throne split that 2 players are holding. Silent and Blaz, both stacked up on the Dragon Door. Doc prone under the bathroom window, who can strike on that split hallway at any time. And 2 players on site. really nice even spread from PB that's going to waste a lot of time should AAA opt to clear it in these last 35 seconds. But right now, they're just gathering info, probably trying to figure out how the hell they're going to make an opening and give themselves an opportunity to push this site. They don't have anyone to work Vert because there's no Sledge or Buck, and now they lose Ashen. Opening pick once again goes the way of PB. Silent tacks on as well. That's the two Throne players shutting down that side of the map for AAA. Now all that's left are the three players looking to come down arcade stairs. The Melusi swings out at the perfect time. Doc kills himself with a Capkin trap, but it's to get a kill himself, and Silent gets a third. Flawless defenses from Parabellum. They go up 6-0.
I mean, it's impressive that even with what Arial was able to do on Oregon, PP somehow beat that. They don't even need two. They need one attack. And even if they have a meager, it's very, very poor attack, it's just one. Like, you gotta believe that they can do it. With what the communication, the coordination, how they stick to each other like glue. At least on the defense. On the attack, could be a different story. We'll have to see in this opening round as Arial Academy head to Throne Room. They bring out, what we saw the defense of Parabellum like to do continue with the Soulless. We are going to see the Ward. There isn't any wall denial that Parabellum did like to bring in some of the Throne Room rounds, but other rounds it was more about protecting that second floor that honestly Parabellum was much better at. And a lot of that was down to Arial Academy's ineffective roam, but clearly they are going to have to learn from their opponent. Do what must be done, win 6 rounds in a row, and then go to overtime, win that out. Otherwise, it's going to be map 3, Chalet. And I do not envy the desk. They are going to have to talk about, gassing up Arial Academy between the maps. And now Parabellum just come out with, 3-6 consecutive home runs in a row. It's shocking. A lot of people not expecting Parabellum to do this on the second map, but hey, I predicted PB, so I'm all for it.
And AAA at least start this defense off well with a spawn peek, thanks to Uzi. Something that they did a lot when they defended against S2. Spawn peek almost every round on actually both on Theme Park and Villa, I believe. Soulless coming out once again from Neo. He spots something. I think it was a drone. They know Blaz has already worked his way downstairs. He almost catches Spiker on the retreat, but Lamaya makes it safely back into sight. Now they know the Buck is on the horizontal. No more push outs into Dragon for AAA, but they've still got the roam that PB need to worry about.
So Uzi, he is him right now in this matchup. As much as Arial Academy can have somebody, Jackal actually gets spotted up on the second floor. That's what Soulless can do. So now they might send somebody up to meet him, but with those feet tracks, I think it's more important just to kind of keep everybody in sight, keep that advantage. But Blaz could have found the kill onto Neo, but instead makes it a 4v2 as Parabellum. This might not be the round that they claim the map victory, but I said it right before this round started. All they need is one out of 6 potential rounds. Arial Academy cannot slip up in almost any of these rounds, and honestly, they could still slip up. It's very easy to give this one away, but then again, it is Throne Room Arial. It's very hard for this attack to really get through if they don't attack it correctly.
That's a great impact trick, though, from, I believe, Spiker, standing on that yellow wall, keeping Uzi's back protected so he can continue to peek, especially behind this shield. That is a tough obstacle for PB to try and get through. This round, barring something miraculous, should be pretty much over. Okay, speaking of miraculous, Uzi thought he was safe. He was, in fact, not, but his spirits drops through, thought he was covered by smoke. Unfortunately for him, Ashen is simply Warden, and of course, you are not getting past these feet holes if someone is watching it. Great first defense from AAA. Can they keep it up for the next 5 rounds in a row?
A lot of it does come down to how Arial played around the map up on the top floor, and that's just kind of how Throne Room works. It's less about the site itself and more about how you play around. If you do not have a good roam up on this Throne Room area playing directly above it, you're going to not have a fun time, because attack, a lot of times will bring some vertical play, create holes in the floor, get a lot of that wall denial done and dusted if you have that. And, well, Arial Academy, clearly, they hold strong. They're bending. They're not broken just yet. Like, the spines are starting to break, and so close. You can see just inches away from snapping. But they're not done yet. They go to bunks and still bring a very similar lineup. They do not have the Solus in this one. Instead, the Jaeger. So I'm surprised they would continue with the Solus. I think that did bring some bounty with the ability to potentially see some Parabellum players. But as we can kind of see, it's less, Jackal, less Lion, and more just Blackbeard. His shields are not technologically advanced.
Yeah, Blackbeard's... Okay, so here's the thing. In theory, Blackbeard's not, like, amazing, because his shield only has 50 HP, and we see it get disintegrated almost immediately. But if you're a good player, and you have the reaction time of someone like Tristan, Reverse, Fish, Spirits, it still saves you, and can give you kills that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. I think it's mostly just it's when people peek as Blackbeard and don't see the defender, and the defender just shoots the side of it. That's where he kind of gets a bad rap from. But if you're taking a straight up 1v1, he can easily get you kills that you wouldn't have gotten if you were not Blackbeard. So we'll have to see how he plays with it. It can also be quite the force if it's a Blackbeard sitting behind an Osa shield, and it's kind of like, then what the hell do? You kind of have to waste an impact or a C4 on it. You don't have another choice. But seems like the Blackbeard's going to be clearing in through Cafe side. It's a full map take split from Parabellum. Doc's going to have to be very careful for that reason. I couldn't even get my point out. He started to shoot the bottom of the barricade, and AAA didn't like that very much. So great opening pick, taking out the ace.
Took that personally, so Ashen finding the shotgun blast. And Spirit, doesn't take any damage, swaps out the shield, and now ready for a nice little fresh engagement as Parabellum have to find a way to bounce back from losing Doc. This isn't the worst site to lose your hard breach, because you can just enter from that Cafe side, use the natural doors. It's not the worst site for doing that, but they still have to take this Cafe arcade control, and right now Arial Academy aren't letting them. I'm afraid they will continue to peak Spirits in Cafe, and that is going to lead to their downfall if they do not peak unwinnable gunfights, which is something Parabellum did not do. It seems so easy
Here it is
for Arial Academy to do that, but now Kool-Aid slinking through Cafe. You're going to see the shield go down, and now the secondary shield right strapped to the gun of Spirits finds a kill for Parabellum.
Great bait from Kool-Aid and Spirits to kill Ambi, the Dawn of Cafe, as we saw yesterday playing on Theme Park. Luckily, there is a trade from Spiker to make sure that AAA still have the man advantage. With Spirits and Kool-Aid causing so much noise in Cafe, do they know about Silent pushing in from the back? C4 does do away with the Talon shield, puts a little bit damage on the Kool-Aid, and they do know about Silent. So AAA should have all three of these attackers accounted for, now all two of them, as Silent goes down on the yellow stairs. Nice crossfire being held by Arial ACAT, at least for now. Neo's got these wall holes. You got Ashen coming up the yellow stairs, Spiker on the arcade window. Kool-Aid gets one, instantly refragged by Ashen, leaving Spirits the Blackbeard in a 1 versus 3. Ashen peeks into him, unfortunately meets the shield and his fate. And now with 10 seconds remaining, Blackbeard's not the fastest operator in the world, and he eventually succumbs to the Jaeger, giving AAA their second defense in a row.
And I was afraid that Arial would peak Cafe, but Parabellum just kind of took the fight to them. Started off as good as it could have been, and I think if Doc stayed alive, was able to put that pressure on that cash interrogation office side with the arrest of Parabellum, we could have seen a different result. But the fact is that Arial was trying to really put a lot of their attack in one side of the map, and Arial really just could wait. Yes, they do lose a couple bodies, but the positioning they had over by the yellow stairs, still an arcade as well, there wasn't much Parabellum could do. So now lab in storage is where this Arial Acad roster heads to, as it's still, Throne Room is really the story of can you hold that top floor. We're going to see that theory tested again, as Parabellum need to find a way to root out a lot of these aerial defenders from where they stand. This cache area that's, there isn't an Azami on the defense, which I am a little surprised about. They do keep that Solus, but I just, with how Parabellum was able to use the Azami, you think that Arial would definitely have the ability to use her in a similar manner, but clearly they have other plans.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any Inish yet at all.
It's like a, I don't know, I feel like it's a mid site.
Yeah, that's
best.
understandable. But I also know there are a lot of teams who play theme that like prefer Inish over Drug. There are some teams, clearly not these two though. So we'll see Arial Acad start with the upstairs roam. We'll see how long it takes before they fall back to that throne extension. The Solus of Ashen pushed up in Gong, really staring outside, trying to see if he can catch any drones. One makes its way in, and Ashen will patiently wait to see if it spots him. If not, likely try to work a dragon flank at some point, maybe even kill someone droning and cache from below. But he finally gets spotted. That'll prompt him to start to fall back.
Ash is just going to continue to walk around.
Okay.
With, I mean, Spirits seems just unabated, destroying the barriers. Arial, they don't really put up a fight for a lot of this cache area. It is more just holding above the drug lab side as Ashen goes down first. This could be the opener that Parabellum needs to spiral their way towards a victory, but it's also about not losing the refrag. Silent takes a little bit of damage in a fight and does get the headshot to Ambi. That's 2 for him in this round, and he centers his way towards the site, and Arial Academy needs to hold strong if they want to win this round, keep their hopes alive in this map.
PB are playing this attack correctly, catching Ashen out and then just waiting for Ambi to peek into the site of Silence. I knew it was going to happen, and lo and behold, it did. And AAA trail in a 3v5 on what could be the last round of Theme Park. Their home turf, or something that we touted as their home turf. They should be doing much better than this, but Parabellum really handled them on that defensive side, and that forces AAA to have a perfect defensive side in response. Spiker gets the first kill for his team onto Spirits. That's a great start, and Uzi follows it up. So now the man count is even, but the Buck gets the drop on Spiker, making it a 3 versus 2 as PB now drop onto the first floor.
Okay, Blast does get the kill onto Uzi, and then you're just going to see a direct trade. So Parabellum, it does pay off in the end. They don't flub that round. Get Theme Park 7-2, even better than Oregon for Arial Arise Academy. So then where do you go from here? Map 3, I think it was a lot less of a fight than some of us were expecting on a lot of these maps, but either way, we still go to a map 3. What happens now? Parabellum wins map 2. Arial Arise Academy wins map 1. Each are about as one-sided as you could get. Chalet. This is going to be a real coin flip.
Especially for AAA. Chalet is not a map that PB plays terribly often. They didn't play it at all in the NAL. I don't believe they've played it in SCS either. I can double check their best of 3s. No, they have not played it, but they also don't ban it a lot. They've left it up. In fact, both of their BO3s so far, it's been the decider match. So they're not shy at all to bring us to Chalet. I mean, Chalet, when PB first came into the scene, right when they were in T2, they were one of the best Chalet teams in North America, even though they were in T2. And on the other side, AAA, they won it 7-3 against IF, and they also have lost it in the playoffs, or sorry, not in the playoffs, but in that game against LG before that. So I don't know. I have no idea.
There isn't something that jumps out at you like Oregon. Arial Arise Academy always wants to ban it, and then you go to Theme Park, and it's Parabellum. Don't really know it, haven't played it as much as Arial Arise Academy, who constantly go here and win. You don't have that. on Chalet. So there are a lot of questions, and I think that is a question that the desk are definitely going to have to figure out. Are they going to predict correctly who is going to come out on top? But definitely they're going to have to answer some of those quizzical questions that we all have.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think a little bit of a surprise there for the squad. Again, it seems like surprises are the theme of the night. Welcome back to the desk here. I'm Corbeck, alongside me, Nix and Klimps, and well, we said it was Arial Rise's stomping ground. We thought that there was going to be a stomp to see. Unfortunately, though, the stomp not in the direction we thought. It was Arial Rise Academy, who got absolutely destroyed on the attack. They could find no value. It's 6-0 coming into that, and Parabellum really laying down the law here. Guys, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, it was a beating of the most thorough nature. I mean, looking at it in reflection here, Klimps, where do we even start with this?
There's not much. I mean, to be honest, Tristan, we were talking throughout the map, and we're like, what the hell do we talk about? There wasn't anything special that stuck out other than Arial Rise ACAD's lack of attack presence. They just struggled so much trying to bust into the building. The Ying was not working for them, especially when they crutched on it and relied on it so much in their match against S2 just yesterday. Now with the Ying, Parabellum seemingly having that figured out. Played very well. Parabellum with not a lot of information as of recent on theme park, so AAA not able to prep for it. Parabellum just stomped him outright.
They did stomp him. Let's take a look at those stats here, give us a better picture. And wow, Nix, look at those ratings on the side of Parabellum Esports. My lord, only one player under 1.0. Are you kidding me right now?
Sadly, we're not. It's one of those situations where you have a very set expectation, and that expectation is just completely obliterated. Parabellum came to do work at theme park for sure, and Blaz being that top player of the side of Parabellum. Now, I gotta give a little bit of credit though to Kool-Aid Doc, though. Their costs, their contributions to their team were phenomenal, but Lone Uzi, oh, poor Uzi at the top of the board for Arial Rise, really just seeming like the only one who really put any work for the academy team up there.
Yeah, it was Uzi was trying, obviously. I mean, I'm sure they were all trying, but it's a bit rough, and you do have to kind of think here, right? These are all young guys. We mentioned it before. I think only one player on this team is even the age of 18, right? And it's hard. Like, that was rough. Looking ahead now, as we look to Chalet, I mean, how do you build the mental back up here, Klimps, and jump back in on this? Because this to me just feels like a real no-hoper sort of situation, a deflation, if you will.
Yeah, AAA, they got to hop right into things. They got to be confident when they come out and play, and they need to play the AAA way. They need to feel confident in their gunfights. They've all got incredible gun skill, but they've got to be able to use it and rely on it. Ash should also be one of those very impactful players for the AAA roster, not showing up so much in that theme park game, so they've got to get back in track with that. Also, opening picks, that was something that AAA fed off of in that Oregon match. Not so much there on theme park, so they've got to go fix a couple things if they want to come out on top.
I'll say, Klimps, I think they need to fix quite a bit more than just that. I've got to point out kind of the captain, like, obvious here in the room is the fact that Arial Rise Academy, they are a strong defensive team. It doesn't matter what map it is. Period. End of story. We saw it on Oregon. We saw the repeat when we went on to theme park. The problem is they have to really bring it on their attacks. If they don't do that, there's honest to God no hope for Arial Rise Academy. I hate to say it, they are my pick. They are the team I would like to see go to grand finals, but you have to be adaptive. And moving into Chalet can go either way. There are so many ways you can this map, but you have to adapt and overcome to really anything. And I'm actually going to make a quick point on that. Just with Oxygen, actually, if you see an opening, you take it. Take it from Fox A, who knows when to go up the stairs and decimate everyone on mezzanine. You have to be able to do that.
Yeah, finding those openings, I mean, there just weren't any openings. It was an ironclad defense on Theme Park. And I mean, it's got to have put a little bit of the fear into them that they're going to be looking at that, right? Like, I said Parabellum had the advantage here, guys. And I was, you know, a little put out after map number 1. Coming in here, looking at map number 2, I don't think that's what any of us expected. I personally thought we were going to see a walk-off. But, I mean, talk about Chalet. It's interesting. There's some stuff that goes into this here, Klims, that you and I were talking about in terms of pick rates and how these teams feel about this map.
Well, very similar to Parabellum to Theme Park for Parabellum, rather. They haven't played it since stage 1 of the NAL. They played it 3 times, and they had some okay results. I believe their only win was against, oh boy, let me go back here to where I found it. I believe it was against Sonics, so that was the only time that they won it. Otherwise, they got stomped by Xset and they got stomped by TSM. But that was stage 1. That's a very different Parabellum roster, completely different stage and everything. A different game a year ago. So when it comes to things like that, we'll have to see how Chalet goes for AAA. They don't have any notes on what PB has done. They're going in as a guessing game, and they got to guess right here.
Oh, they're going in blind, and it doesn't get much more dramatic than a final showdown in the French Alps here at the Chalet on the slopes. Only one of these teams can walk away with the win. Your ski guides for today, it's going to be Light Rose and Crow. Take it away for this climactic final.
Thank you, as always, Corbecathan. And something that we have to preface this match with, of course, is how our overtime sides work. So unlike in Challenger League, unlike the NAL, if there's a best of 3, it's not coin flip, it's actually based on round differential. So because PB won their map by a larger margin than AAA did, PB got the side selection, and curiously enough, a trend that we've been seeing more and more recently is that Chalet is, Defense is the favored side on Chalet.
We'll have to see if there's like the one of the sides that kind of clearly one team is better at. If we do end up at, you know, a 6-6 overtime, one team might just have a better attack, even though they win the same amount of rounds. Speculation, honestly, because I think overtime would definitely be a welcome sight after the 7-4, 7-2. And I mean, this is the second map 3 we have seen in the playoffs so far, with the other one being the Wichita Wolves RTV game. So I don't know, maybe there is just something that I bring to the table that has a map 3 in the cards. But then again, we're getting to the thick of things in SCS. We got another semifinal after this one, and then grand finals tomorrow. And obviously you want to see everything, but Solus being banned on Chalet, we don't see it too much, but honestly, I think it is something that's not too surprising considering the impact she can have on this map.
What I think is surprising is the fact that the team to ban her is AAA. You know, very good Solus map, probably out of the 3 maps that we're seeing today in this series, Chalet is her best. But I don't know. AAA have always shown dominance when they have that Solus on this map, but I guess maybe with how PB used it on Theme Park, I think they got a lot more stock out of her, and AAA just don't want to deal with that, thinking that PB are going to be able to do just as much on Chalet on a better map. So that's probably the logic going into that ban. Dokkaebi, still a staple ban for AAA, the other 2 normal. However, that leaves another really, really good operator up. We have Valkyrie in play on Chalet. That means we're probably going to be seeing a whole lot of C4 potential.
Yeah, so I mean, Solus or Valkyrie, it's like a lose-lose situation. With Solus, you can have the ability, if you're still alive in a execute phase, you can literally go up to this top floor, look all the way down to kitchen, and find exactly where the diffuser is. At least with Valkyrie, there has to be some level of communication. I mean, Z-pings can be almost instant, and the information game and the communication will be on point for Parabellum, but we'll have to see if the cameras really enlighten a lot of Parabellum's eyes at Arial Academy. Maybe bring an IQ for a lot of these rounds. They don't have it right now, and have it actually Amaru for this early one, so we'll have to see. MB zips on in the building, potentially try to find an early pick inside of this library area. There is nobody directly holding inside of libraries, which can be a power position on Chalet, but right now, because the site is in that bar area, it could be more about, you know, that piano area. You are seeing Doc. You are going to see that Frost just play outside, not directly near it, but it's all about how Arial truly wants to attack that mezzanine side.
They spot the Frost, and the player on the balcony immediately drops down to the games window. There's still Uzi posted up on Sandwich, but Ambi on that. Amaru is the player with the first kill. Neo a follow-up. Ambi's in bar stock. Spiker is planting. I don't even know where the hell Ambi came from, but they've got site control. 1-for-1 trade as the plant goes down. Advantage fully in AAA's corner, and Spirits has to retake site from short in a 1 versus 4 post plant, and he's going to make 0 headway. AAA with quite the opening statement.
That's another thing, that information, we thought it would be good for the defense, but the attack make another crucial play based off of how the IG. Basically seeing that, once again, nobody's in sight. They dedicate a lot to the room. You see 2 upstairs. You saw, I believe, 1 over an office, 1 over a kitchen, and left site, I think, free and clear as day. So Parabellum, they are not even going to risk going back to that VAR games area. It's kitchen, dining, and I think that is the smart play. You are going to have a much better time roaming by that office area because, I mean, with a bar, yes, you could play over by Mez, but you're not playing technically directly on top of the site like you might on this kitchen area, and we're still seeing a lot of the same operators. Arial still don't want to go for that IQ, and why would they? I mean, clearly, the Valkyrie Black Eye cameras didn't have any impact on the round because of how quick Arial played, but you're not going to have that style of attack always. So we'll see if that kind of rears its head the later we go in the rounds.
I think if they end up being punished by the Valkyrie, we'll probably see her come out. But like you said, until that happens, I don't expect her. I would like to know who got opening picked by Ambi. Do you know who it was?
Kool-Aid.
I did not see. It was Kool-Aid. Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure it was Kool-Aid.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
Okay.
And if I find out that you lied to me, I'm gonna be really angry with you.
All right.
Also, Team Ace. I just noticed that. That's cool. So everyone from AAA able to chime in. Spiker getting that plant down after Ambi. Just combined 2 different players. Ambi made the headway in the site. Now they've got to worry about dining, and AAA are starting with a solar take. Looking to take the top floor from the north side of the building. 2 players on the rappel. Ambi lurking down below, and I think Ashen is in the basement. Well, he was in the basement, but Silent went on the hunt, took the nades out from below. Blaz gets a follow-up, and AAA not starting the round nearly as well as they had hoped.
I mean, at least we're not going to see 5, 6 rounds in a row. Like, please, a back and forth would be very welcome after what we have seen, as I think maybe these 2 teams have kind of chewed each other out in those first 2 maps, and now we are going to see the tug of war that does lend itself to a good map. But this round is not over yet. Arial have found their way out of, well, worse positions. All they have to do is take out a couple key Parabellum members, but the information on PB is going to be so good. Not only do they have the defaults, they have the Black Eye camera. They have some of those Banshees that will be informative. As now Spiker drops in, he has to worry about all manner of things. He's Spirit on Solarium, 1 in Trophy, and it is not Silent gets that kill as well.
Wow. And Spirits just peeks on through those floor holes to find Uzi trying to make his way up West Main. Ambi hits 2 nice shots to put himself in a 1 versus 3, but he still has to get an ace if he wants to win the round. He's got a minute to play with, so it's not terrible. It's a pretty decent amount of time. He'll hit the lion scan because he knows somebody's in lobby. Wants to keep them still so he can go on the hunt. Looks like they're in Harry Potter. That's Blaz on the alibi, but he's watching the angle, and Ambi's not ready for him, giving PB their first point.
Right. So, I mean, you see some individual flashiness from some players. It surprises me, just the caliber of consistent shots that these players can hit. Like, how good they... I know that sounds like so basic, like, why are you talking about it? But it's just... I love seeing some of these players play and how they can take some of these individual 1v1s, how quickly they can just snap onto the player's head, win the gunfight. it's enjoyable. It's like it's why it's very fun to see how Parabellum and Arial Academy could kind of go at each other. The mechanical skill difference versus the communication difference versus utility difference. There's a lot of different things that technically, yes, Arial Academy, they are T3. Parabellum is T1. But are they truly? Looking at the similarities and the differences in how they attack, how they defend, how they, use their actual gun. It's always insightful to see.
Definitely. That's why I love like T2 versus T1, T2 versus T3, T3 versus T1. You get to see all the potential dichotomies that come out. And by the way, it finally came on stream, so I clipped it. Ambi, that opening pick in round 1, it was in fact Kool-Aid. So
yes,
I do not have to berate you verbally, of course.
I wrote it down like immediately. So
all right, touche. And there it is. There's the IQ.
I was right.
I guess thinking that the info was definitely on the side of the defense. That's why they got punished for it. I mean, definitely makes sense with how PB was hunting them in the basement. I would probably pin that on a Valkyrie too. So I like the IQ pick coming out. Ambi once again on that Amaru. And PB, strangely enough, no C4s. Spirits is rocking impacts instead.
Oh, there's actually no C4s on the board as well. And, I mean, maybe the play isn't to try to deny some any plants. There's no smoke, there's nothing. So I think they're depositing a lot into this early roam. Doc is still hiding by this cube area. And this was the site in which you just saw the aerial flurry onto site. And there isn't going to be that, but there still is going to be the aerial entry. As Spirit goes down, potentially Doc, he's going to head up those stairs as well. Him or Blaz could be next if they don't watch their corners. And now Arial, they can continue just to take map control all for themselves. And with so much time, get information, use the drones because there is no Solus on the board. Everything's kind of coming up them, especially if Ambi leads to get this kill towards Silence. A little bit of engagement to go between the two, but it's Silence who wins it out, doesn't even take any damage in the process, and now just continues on his merry way.
Doc gets caught out from code check, though, so Arial Acad keep the man advantage. Also, I just realized Ambi in that first round probably came through the top main window. I just realized that. I'm dumb. That would explain how he went into bar so quickly. Don't know where he went in this time. It looked like it was the basement to catch Spirits. And unfortunately, so I saw like the sneaky play, and he was going for that pick on Silent. But then once Silent started fighting him, someone hopped on the camp. So pretty easy fight for Silent, as every bob and weave Ambi performed was being called out. But at the very least, AAA now have control of not the whole top floor, just library for now. And Blaz, who remained hidden, lets his presence known as he kills Neo, but there's Ashen with yet another equalizer, but Blaz is still running amok. Shoots Uzi in the back, 2 versus 2. Kool-Aid holding down bar stock is now the last player left, but Spiker puts him down, and Ashen with a big 3K keeps AAA in the advantage.
And well, is this any round streaks, any back and forth? What is this game going to give us? Arial Academy, yes, they do win bar for the second time. This one a lot different, a lot more calculated, but it is still a win for them nonetheless. And PB, they head to basement. They actually don't want to try second floor, at least not yet. Because, if they do win this, they would have to decide to A, go back to bar, or that second floor. But clearly, the basement is where they want to go. And this is a site that I feel like it started to lose its luster. We have seen teams opt to head for, at least that's what I feel like. I know that a lot of teams, basically Chalet is one of those sites, or one of those maps, where a lot of the sites are viable. And you're going to have different rosters, have different favorites. And maybe I've just kind of had like recency bias, where I've been able to cast a lot of teams that don't prefer that basement site. They prefer to go to kitchen, bar, and second floor. But this basement site is where Parabellum wants to go, keeping with that wall and all. The bandit and the bandit and the mute, as Doc actually impacts himself. So friendly fire is not enabled, but friendly fire doesn't count for yourself. But Doc takes a little bit of damage there.
Actually, in the comp settings, I think friendly fire is enabled in prep.
Is it?
Because it was enabled in the SI quals.
It says friendly fire is now active.
Oh.
Why would it? That feels weird. Why would it be active in prep phase?
I don't know, because it's comp and it's supposed to be harder. I don't know.
Because
It was active in SI quals, but I don't know. I guess it isn't active. So your point stands. And I do agree, you know, some teams still opt to bring Master, but I think Garage is a better site, just considering how important the roam is. It's a lot more important than it is on Master. I think it's easier for the attackers to take underneath when it comes to Master, and plus you have that big window cutoff. With the Bandit trick coming in from Kool-Aid, it's going to be tough for AAA to get that main wall open. He was damaged, but got immediately healed up, and that's a 2K from those T5 SMGs. One from Doc onto Ambi, the other Blaz onto Ashen, making AAA's entry game stunted.
Now Neo just kind of stuck outside. He barely missed potentially a rotate from a member of PB, but he's stuck. Well, what really can he do? He gets a shot at the Silent, a good one at that. So now there's another member of Parabellum that potentially might not be there to counter the execute, but that is still an execute that needs to happen sooner or later. Not many moving parts beside it. You just saw Doc slinking under the bar, barely evades Uzi's detection, and I think Uzi knows that somebody is in this bar area, and as Elysian goes for the rotate, gets caught by the bullets of Uzi, who makes it an equal three-sided match. And I mean, Uzi could potentially catch another one on the Kitchen, but so far, it's just two trains passing each other. Nobody really shoots at each other.
Saw there was a late info from AAA on the Oryx's position as he put a couple shots down. Spiker now attempting to work the vert, and the Oryx will fall back to site rather than continue to go for the flank. Spiker's vertical play going to be of the utmost importance in creating an opening for AAA to make their way in, but it looks like Spiker is more interested in simply walking down the blue stairs and pushing, which is an understandable decision considering the possibility of a pre-play C4, and with Uzi's kill onto Kool-Aid, that could be the opening they need. A miss, uncharacteristic of Spirits as he tries to swing on a Spiker. Spiker staying alive here, just putting pressure is so important, but as Neo dies and leaves Uzi in the 1v1, the situation for AAA goes from okay to now dire. Neo crawling around, attempting to give his teammates some sort of information. Blaz finally gets spotted, working his way into connector, but he catches the back of Uzi, and Blaz plays essentially a 1 versus 3 there extremely well to tie the score once again.
Spirits, I swear, Spirits peaked that like 4 times and only found the kill with the C4, but luckily Blaz kind of saves him from a little bit more criticism as Parabellum equally answers, and now it's equal footing. And Kitchen is where we are going to go, as it has been long enough. So, I mean, I just didn't do my math right in the prep phase. So this Kitchen site was probably due to the ability of Parabellum to hold office a lot better. Even though Arial kind of set themselves up like they usually do, it just didn't click like it always did. Some kills evaded them like it did in Theme Park, and it just wasn't as snappy and quick like it was in the previous round. But I mean, Arial Academy, they have found ways around it, and interesting to note, Parabellum don't actually bring the Valkyrie for this, even though she's still available. They're choosing other operators, so it seems that Valkyrie isn't like okay, we'll just sub out one of our normal operators for clearly this better pick. They want to stick with the strats that they have. I do find that interesting, because I feel like Valkyrie, it would be a buff to some of these characters.
I talked to, I forgot who it was, about something like that, and sometimes it's not necessarily like, oh, we want to incentivize this operator over the Valkyrie. They just want to incentivize the game plan they already had set, because some teams just don't even practice with Valkyrie up because she's banned so often. So it's kind of like a mirror pick, right? It's not as polarizing, but it's like you practice without her, so you want to stick to your game plan, and you don't want to have to force her into a lineup when you already have a set 5. If she's like, if you think you can drop someone for her, then sure, go for it. But many teams still choose to stick with the plan they already have set. Neo narrowly missing out on a rotation there from Doc. Just a bit of unfortunate timing from the Lion. He was acting off of no info, trying to get a surprise pick. So can't blame him for that. But for now, it seems like he will just kind of sit there on the double window. And Ashen, making his way into Library essentially for free, gets the kill onto Blaz top blue. And that is the top performer for PB dead first.
Well, you are seeing a couple players like jump out, especially on Arial. I mean, Ambi, Ashen are doing a lot on the entry, and Balaz, who has been a big performer for Parabellum, currently 7 kills in this match compared to a lot more even side of Arial Academy. He is not going to be here. So Silent, who is that secondary kill leader, might have to do much, or maybe even cool it. Currently 0-3. He's not usually that main kill leader, but even then, holding that Solarium stairs, he might have to do much because now Spirits is in there. Doc actually takes a gunfight with Uzi inside of this master bedroom area, as right now, this roam is starting to shrink and starting to collapse. As Parabellum, they have to make a few key decisions about what they want to do. Do they want to hold this master bedroom area, or do they want to, you know, cut their losses, back off into the site, still use the utility they have? They choose the former. Hold upstairs and now have to leave Silent in the 1v5. Nearly unwinnable. He does have a small chance, but I don't really like his odds here.
Especially with this much time remaining for Arial, they still got nades, they've still got the buck to work vert. Silent's options are going to be ripped away from him pretty quickly. We can talk about the rest of that round while we wait for Silent to most likely inevitably die. The roam clear from AAA, I think it was much more well put together, starting with Ashen making his way into library for free. I have to say, it looked like a miscommunication, either a miscommunication or Spirits getting a little too tunnel vision on the big window player when he rotated into Solar. They knew the Nomad was there. And there we go, Silent finally dies. And from there, with no more player in Owl, with the Frost kind of stuck behind Shield and nothing else to do, Uzi is allowed to walk into office. There's someone supporting him from piano. Ambi just takes the 1v1 and wins it, and the round is pretty much over. So you wished for a back and forth game, and V, your wish has been granted. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I got you know, the Australis Oxygen game was kind of the Christmas present I was looking for. Like, you had 2 Pro League teams, and then Oxygen just, like, completely dominated over a sleeping Astralis. And then I asked for a good game last night with Wichita Wolves. I got it. Now I look asking for a back-and-forth game with Arial Rise Academy Parabellum. I'm getting everything I'm wishing for.
You're getting
Harrison, it's
spoiled.
great.
You're getting spoiled.
I know. I mean, SCS, these are...
Are you...
Was that...
Are you Jewish? Do you celebrate Hanukkah? Because then you'd get the 8 gifts.
I do not.
One for each day.
Unfortunately, I know we have a lot of Jewish members of the SCS production
Shout
team.
out Tofu. Who is
Yes,
it? Tofu,
we all know Tofu.
Brave,
We all know Tofu.
Jay's Wills as well. Happy Hanukkah to you 3. I mean, my dad's Jewish, but we don't really like celebrate anything. So non-practicing Jew, I guess. Yeah, Hanukkah's cool. We used to celebrate it as a kid, so we get Christmas presents and Hanukkah presents. It was dope.
Man,
it was awesome. We'll see if Arial are able to make their Christmas wish come true with one more round on this attack. That would really cap off a great start to Chalet. And of course, Parabellum looking to do the opposite, because if they tie up the half, then they're looking pretty good heading into their attack, and they want to take as many rounds on the defense as possible, because we all know how strong Arial's defenses tend to be. It is absolutely by far and away their preferred side for very good reason, and that's an excellent opening pick. Once again onto Blaz. Not really his fault, just mid-rotate, getting spotted by the drone and sprayed down through a barricade.
Yeah, and a good tag team there. It wasn't Uzi, even though we kind of had that perspective. It was actually Ashen. So Blaz was kind of dead. Either way, the player in the window, the player. It was Ashen, yes. I know, it's surprisingly, it was Ashen who did get that entry. At least it was on the kill feed. So he kind of steals that one a little bit away from Uzi. But then again, I think you gotta give one to each at that point. I was mentioning one was on the balcony area, one was on the window as well. So right now, Arial, the advantage they had does start to crumble away a little bit, but they do regain it after a couple losses. Uzi actually gets a double as well. So now this second floor, the hold does really start to shatter into pieces as Kool-Aid holds on the stairs. You have Spirits in the bathroom trying to make a quick rotate. He cannot fit through the tiny little hole and actually has to back off, knowing there's a player right around the corner.
So, you were just saying how the top floor hold kind of splinters, but everyone from the defense ended up rotating upstairs. So Spirits and Kool-Aid attempt to bolster it, but Spirits is now down in bathroom thanks to the skeleton key. Kool-Aid has his teammates back. But is Arial going to give him 2 separate 1v1s? They do, but Spiker hits an excellent shot. I got to see this. Oh, never mind. Game said no.
I feel really bad. Because that would have been
that looked like an excellent shot.
Yes.
All good, though. AAA capping off a 4-2 attacking half. And V, this is where things start to get a little dicey for Parabellum. Because Arial Academy, on every map, attack is their weaker side. It's a point. I sound like a broken record. I've said it a whole lot through these past couple series, especially because I've casted almost every best of 3. I think every best of 3 that AAA has played. But attack is their worst side on every single map. But boy, do they run the show when it comes to defense. And PB is going to have to show us shades of that last round on Theme Park if they want to take this map.
I would expect, with what Arial is bringing, would Parabellum actually benefit from a Thatcher? He's not banned. And that would make getting, potentially, I don't know if the Kite Electro Claws would be dedicated more towards the hatches. I think for Trench as well, but there's a lot of wall denial. That's basically what I'm trying to say from Arial Academy. But right now, Parabellum, they're not leaning towards that Thatcher. They're more leaning towards the IQ. Towards, I mean, Buck as well, but actually swap onto the Yana as well. So the Valkyrie might have been benefiting from that change. And I want to see how Parabellum do attack something like the Kite Electro Claws and the Mute Jammers while also having to deal with the aerial roam. Parabellum's roam clear was very, very good on Theme Park. It has to be, honestly, on that level and even above if they need to walk away. And they need to walk away with this round victory.
Is that in time? Did he get it?
Nope.
Oh, it was so close, though. Really nice try from Spiker. You could see the hesitation because he wasn't sure if there was a Thatcher or not, and was just slightly too late. So the breach is forfeited to the attack. Parabellum have a good start, very quick as well. Now they have to work their way through the rest of the map. They got to deal with these roamers, and Ambi is going to start things off with an opening pick, shutting down Spirits and Parabellum's only set of frag grenades.
I mean, the frag grenades did get used to break the Mute Jammer, so they got something. It wasn't a kill, but it was something. It's Silent, I mean, you don't usually see this, the hanging from that little area. Is now Uzi claims another one, so Arial could put a 3-round difference in between them and Parabellum. And whenever we've seen a team really start to take a lead, they haven't let it go. There could be something done here, as Parabellum do find the kill onto Ashen. But right now, it's not spread in like one specific person. The kill leader is not just Uzi or just Ashen. Everybody on this defensive side is finding frags, finding a way onto the kill feed. So it's going to take a concerted effort from all of Parabellum, who do lose another member. That is Blast.
Dude,
this is getting dicey. It's getting risky for Parabellum, who are going to have to take bold plays to walk away with the round. And now with Doc and Silent falling, Arial are 2 rounds away from moving on to the SCS Grand Finals.
3 kills from Ambi upstairs. The one on Blaz sounded nasty, too. It sounded like a 4-bullet spray from that MX4 Storm. And AAA, like I said, PB have the wall open, yeah, but that's only one step of many when it comes to attacking Garage. They had to deal with the roam next, and it seemed like they tried to exude their presence in lobby before doing so. Yeah, they killed Ashen, who is the player in, I think he was roaming towards Games and Bar side, but they ignored Ambi, who got that initial pick, and just ran amok in Dining, shutting down everyone upstairs. And from there, you're kind of forced to the breach, and that's not a recipe for success. So AAA, just as you said, have that 3-round advantage on their Chalet defense. Now, working their way onto Dining, typically the secondary site. Usually it's either Bar Dining or Garage Dining. Ashen swapping onto the Warden, probably going to be playing that shield upstairs with Uzi's shield on site. Still rocking the Valkyrie as well. We know how important information is for the aerial ACAD defenses, whether it be Solus, whether it be Valkyrie, and I expect her to be played probably just as often, if not more often, than we saw PB player.
3 outs on the Blitz. 3 outs on the Blitz. He is on the Blitz. Are we going to see I mean, a trophy room rush? What would be probably the most effective rush for Parabellum?
I've seen like a blitz into office, like through the office door, and just like storming upstairs. Because the dangerous thing about doing it in trophy is the frostbite. Like you just
that is true, but
put a stop to
I mean,
it.
I have seen teams actually put a blitz on here, and it's really not for rush. It is for hunting roamers out
that's what he's
of
gonna
this
do.
office area. Yeah, I think that is what they're going to do. And it's so unique. I feel like, because I believe this is actually what we saw in the Wichita Wolves RTV game, is we saw one of the teams bring out the blitz, bring out the office area. But now that Silent isn't going to be able to assist the blitz, who, I mean, he can run around, he's got to bring out the pistol, and that makes him a little less dangerous, as with one less player, you're going to see Spirits take a little bit of damage, but the buck hasn't been accounted for. The SMG-11 finished off the blitz, and it's just Doc and Kool-Aid left alone to maybe give Parabellum a shot to keep them in map as Arial Academy. They're getting so much closer to map and match point.
Well, the defense was distracted with the office push. It allowed Doc in a trophy, but one kill is all he'll get. Spiker shuts down the last two. A buddy ace between the two MPX users. And, I mean, you gotta give it to Ashen for putting that entire defense together on his back, upstairs, stopping that blitz play. I mean, well done. Not only did he have the opening pick onto Silent, so that's one less player now supporting the blitz, but seeing the blitz run in, stopping Spirits in his tracks because of the feet shots, and then knowing that someone was going to be behind him, cutting down Blaz, and then it was a 2v1. No matter what happened, the blitz was going to die. It was just a matter of whether he took someone with him, but Ashen, turns out, didn't even need the help. A perfect 3K holding down office, and Arial ACAD, 6-2. I said it.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
PB needed to show more on the defense, because Arial ACAD, like, they're not going to give up more than 3 rounds on defense on any given map.
I think that the chances of Parabellum walking away with even anything maybe died with Silent going down, because not only did you lose one player who could assist the blitz did not play as perfectly as he could because the shield didn't protect, you know, the one player who was walking through. And yes, it was also a great play by Arial Academy to know that somebody would be following the blitz, but it's still something where, hey, maybe the shield could be used to block somebody, force the defender's attention away instead of like a minor distraction. As Parabellum, they cannot go something crazy. They cannot bring out anything atypical because their SCS chances are on the line right here. They have to get 4 in a row. You said that you wouldn't think that Arial would allow 3. They would have to let up 4 and then 2 more if Parabellum would want to win this. So far, I think the entry games has spoken a lot for Arial Arise Academy. They have been on top of things tonight, back and forth with Parabellum. Even though Parabellum haven't been silent on the entry, I think Arial's opening frags have been a lot more impactful, and they've been able to work off of them a lot more in a lot of these rounds.
I like Parabellum opting to clear full over, starting in solar, making sure everything's okay for Spirits to work his way in. Someone is... Wow, is that Ashen? This is... Oh. All right. I was going to say, this is crazy, and then I was going to say this was odd, and then he died. So they had the info, they acted off of it, but Spiker, aided by the Valkyrie cameras, answers right on back with a C4, ensuring that they'll get an equalizer. And sure, Ashen's the top performer, but it's just an Oryx. An Oryx for a buck on this site, I'd take those.
Remember, your decisions are either crazy good or crazy stupid, depending on if they work or not. Clearly, Ashen might have been crazy stupid because he died, but it might not truly matter, as the other members of Arial could really do a lot of the work here. Even though Parabellum do find an advantage, they have to keep it. They have to do more than that, and could, with the amount of time that they have. Can't clear the Mez shield and still allow Neo to hold around in library, go back and forth, and even allow Spiker to get a kill, even though there is going to be a reframe on to Neo. So Parabellum have done a good job at answering everything that Arial have thrown at them, and we might not be done in this one particular round, as Parabellum could get the victory, but still, it's just holding on. They're on a tripwire, a tight... What? what is that called? Where they're walking along
Tightrope?
the tightrope. That's it.
There we go. Flash is coming out. They know where Spiker is now that he's let some shots through onto Lobby. Takes some through the wall. Cannot adjust his crosshair onto Doc. So Parabellum, I was going to say, it's their best chance at taking a round with that opening clear. And they finally do it. Their first attacking success comes onto Bar. But now they have to put together another 3 in a row. And Arial ACAD's primary sites are unlocked.
Basement was an interesting one. It was one where Arial kind of had PBs from the get-go. Parabellum, they got the wall open, couldn't really do much from there, and it was just kind of a dead round walking. We all kind of knew what eventually the round was going to be, and that's kind of what it's been for a lot of these, is that early on, Parabellum sets the stage and cannot get it done, and then from then on, we're just waiting to see the inevitable result. But 3 rounds to go. Parabellum, I mean, you have to attack this bar gaming area. Actually, not basement. Literally, I must have seen something wrong. As right now, the roam clear from Parabellum, it hasn't been what it's needed to be, hasn't been what it was on Theme Park. And potentially, some of that could be that I feel like they didn't try to go all for that library take. It was more for an office take. They didn't put all their resources into truly what would count, and at the end it just let a lot to be desired on so many ends.
Yeah, this garage roam was deadly, to put it lightly, from Arial ACAD. Parabellum not suffering a spawn peak death is a good sign. They got to deal with these top floor players. Kool-Aid also on Hibana instead of the Thermite is a decision that might be telegraphing the fact that they're not going to go open Snowmobile. They're probably just going to try and full clear, open that dining hatch if it's not open already, and mainly push the wine side of things. You're not going to get a great breach with Hibana.
Mainly going to be, can they root out Uzi? Can they find him with a lot of time that he can just kind of wait, drain away from this PB stack? Is you are going to see one of the players, as one of the players on the library hallway, as that is where this Parabellum attack is going to be focused. They can't take their eyes off of Kitchen too long, and Blaz knows that. With the drone that he is going to send through Kitchen, should spot Uzi, but Uzi is the main focus. It's got to be Spirits, as he takes out Ashen, and now could be the one thing that spearheads Parabellum's attack.
They've got that opening frag. Silent a follow-up, and Uzi, under a lot of pressure, gets the hell out of dining. But his team's still in a 2-man disadvantage, and someone is going to have to get active to get it back. Because if you let PB continue to set up, especially with that buck in play, there's not going to be a lot of safe spots in sight to sit. Ambi attempts to ascend those main stairs, ends up dying for his trouble. Uzi can't complete his kill, and Neo caught by Blaz. A huge round from the Iana to make sure that Parabellum are still in this game.
I mean, they're still in it. They are here, and right now, getting close. They've 7-4 was the theme park scoreline. So this is the area where basically Arial Res Academy said, okay, we're done fooling around. Let's end the map, move on, because remember, they got a 5-1. And this one, they only had a 4-2, yet they were still able to get it done early on in their defensive round. But so far, as we've kind of gone on and on with the map on this defensive side for Arial, they haven't had that much of an impact. And a lot of that is down to Parabellum getting those opening entries, getting information and moving off of that, which is something that I think early on they might have stagnated, which is actually something we criticized Arial for doing, that they fixed. So if we see 2 of these active teams battling it out as we head to a little bit of a timeout, I think it is a good a time as ever right now, Harrison, for a timeout, as both of these teams, they do need a water break. They have been going at it for a long time, and even though it hasn't been like the longest of maps, it was a 7-4, 7-1, I think, and now, well, we might see the end right here, or Parabellum, they could have something to say about it.
Now, this dining round was spectacular, but it was off of a failed blitz play. PB are obviously switching things up. I thought they were going to bring out the Ying and maybe go for a fast execute with her, but instead they'll swap to Jackal to bolster that roam clear, pair him with the Lion, and Spirits on Monty. Now, Chalet is not typically a Monty map, because a lot of those places where you're going to send him are overwhelmingly C4able. But if they maybe entry through games, work him up blue to take library, walk him into piano, he can't get C4 that way. Maybe that's going to be the play for Parabellum.
They surely wouldn't send him up by the balcony now, would they? Carter. Why did I call you Carter?
Carter?
Or not Carter. I'm so sorry.
Heck?
Look, I'm still feeling the effects from last night's game. I am truly deeply sorry.
I can't believe it.
I know. I'm sorry, Harrison. Very, very. I will deeply apologize. We'll put a twit longer.
I can't believe you just said the name of a poli-sci major and called me that name.
Yeah, I know it is one of the deepest insults that you can give somebody, but I'm sure he'll definitely hear about it. Well, right now, I mean, I was gonna say that there's no way they send him up to that balcony, Harrison, and they don't. You mentioned that probably they send him not through bar, but right now it's more about library. Make him through blue, send him through piano, and that is going to be informed with the bulletproof, with the yokai as well. So now Spirit sees all this level of information, doesn't fully engage, and I think that is the smart decision. Can't really do anything about it and could be met with so many bullets. So it's about how Parabellum, how do they react? Will they use the frag grenades? Will Silent use those impacts? And he does this. Now, right now, Neo could be met with a lot of enemies, but he finds an opener, and now a lot of Parabellum presence is greatly decreased.
Neo has a great opening pick. That's a set of nades off the board. That is the only real vertical destruction they have. Neo almost dies, but Ashen kills Silent. Spirits cook with a refrag and Blaz to equalize, putting us in a 3 versus 3, and Neo is oh so low. Forced back by this Monty, who is still alive, and that is going to be huge for Parabellum. Spirits now coming down the stairs, searching for Neo. They know about the player rotating to the basement as well. They just saw Uzi. Neo's position being confirmed once again. Someone should be backing up the Monty. I think I saw Blaz coming down the stairs behind him. A nade destroys the ceiling above that Jaeger. And now Neo's playing in sight with Spiker. Uzi comes back upstairs. He's got to worry about the floor holes, but he wins it against Blaz. That is massive. Now Kool-Aid's essentially in a 1 versus 3 with a giant drone in front of him, but that drone is taking a fight. Half HP as Kool-Aid gets the equalizer, but he's down to Frostmat. He walks into the Frostmat, and now Spirits is 1 HP, and he's finished. What a way to end it as Arial's Frost goes huge. The 3 final kills, only 2 of them with the gun. And Arial ACAD, another upset, chewing their way through a T1 team to make finals.
And it feels only typical that it would just end like that. A very back and forth tug of war style of round, and then just the Frost mat. It makes its presence known in just the most unlikely of times. It is such a, like, oh, you should have seen it coming. And a smacking forehead moment. Maybe Klimps will do it on the desk. It'll make a giant noise. But Parabellum, 7-4. I mean, it should have been closer. I feel like they should have had that round. But the Frostmat ending it like that, it's a little bit of a poor way to end that round and end that match, I think.
I really feel for Kool-Aid right now. That is truly unfortunate. Because like I said, with a Monty in play, it's still a man up, but it's not necessarily a gun up. That's why I said Kool-Aid was kind of in a 1v3 with a giant drone in front of him. I mean, Spirits still took a fight while Neo was distracted by Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid ended up winning it, but yeah, I mean, putting yourself down in that Frostmat, leaving a Monty in a 1v2 clutch scenario, he's almost never going to win it. Unless he hits like the nastiest pistol shot of his life, he's almost never going to win that 1 versus 2. Huge from AAA. PB really started to bring things back, especially after that timeout. They looked good. They won bar. AAA at the end. Getting that initial pick, I think, onto Doc, removing all semblance of the vertical play, allowing those anchors, I almost said ankles, allowing those anchors to bunch up and play around the Monty, trying to pick off Kool-Aid behind him, really lent itself to the defensive advantage. And AAA, I mean, it's a T3 league. They got to make finals.
I mean, but it's T1 opponents.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
doesn't matter. The script is written.
So now
I'm sorry.
They've made their way through PB. They're either going to be playing Oxygen or Wichita Wolves. And honestly, if Wichita Wolves somehow pull off the upset, I think that will be a very enjoyable game. But I mean, Oxygen will be an enjoyable game against Arial Rise Academy. But I think how this season started, how it's ending for this team are two completely different things. And you kind of got to root for them because at the end of the day, they are just the underraters that maybe they're not in CL, but they're basically a CL level team. Hell, Spiff was on Arial Rise Academy, turned 18. He's in Pro League. So,
yeah. I expect very similar things from the rest of this roster, but I'm sure they're busy celebrating their win. And we're going to go back to the desk, wrap things up from this banger of a game, and lead us into the next.
And with the snap of a bear trap, Arial Rise Academy has sundered Parabellum on the anvil of Chalet and punched their ticket to the finals. Welcome back to the desk, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Corbeck. I'm here with Nix and Clemson. Well, it was a hard-fought victory there by the members of Arial Rise Academy, but a well-deserved one nonetheless. They certainly impressed us here, and I mean, I might have picked Parabellum at the start like you, Clemson, but I can't be unhappy with this result. It was a good end to this match.
It went the opposite of everything how we thought. We figured that Theme Park would be Arial Rise's map. We thought that Oregon was going to be a stomp for Parabellum. And then Chalet, we were like, okay, it's a toss-up, and we'll probably give it to Parabellum because they're the Pro League team and AAA aren't. But ignore all that. Ignore everything that we thought, because tonight was a game that no one thought it was going to go down the way it went down. Lots of craziness happening. Blitz, Montaigne, Blackbeard all being brought out. I mean, all these operators through and throughout. AAA, take down PB.
Hey, you guys. Arial Rise won. Arial Rise won. I called it.
Here she goes.
The one thing we all agreed on was that it was going to go to a map 3. So that is something we can all agree upon. And a map 3 it definitely was. But I am I am 1 for 2 right now. 1 for 2. Let's go.
Well, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. But I mean,
not bad at all.
Oh, craziness.
Yeah, taking a look at the stats line, I mean, you can see, it shouldn't be said that Parabellum wasn't fighting because they were fighting here, but I mean, just looking at it, Nix, I mean, you said it, you picked it, you kept the flame alive this entire time. What, any thoughts here as we look over these last stats and kind of get an idea of what we're looking at?
I mean, honestly, I swear sometimes these teams have like a direct link into our comms and they can just hear us talking about the things that they need to improve. Like Arial Rise alone here, they went into this looking like a completely different team on attack. And that is really what got them where they needed to get to tonight. But Parabellum, you have to give them credit. 100%. They weren't going to go down without a fight. And that's a T1 organization. You expect that out of them. But I'm telling you, don't sleep on Arial Rise Academy. Don't ever do it.
No, I think that lesson has been well learned by Clemson and I. But speaking of learning lessons, there was one particular round in here, guys. You saw it go down and you were like, this is the round. Like, we got to talk about this one. It was that failed blitz rush. So let's pull that up. You guys can take a look at it. Nix, you've been hyping up Shield. So what do you got to say for yourself right here?
I mean, I'm known as the Shield meta queen. And honestly, this is how you don't play a Shield. Now, I got to give some props though to Spirits over the fact that they did bring in a buddy with them, but once that buddy goes down, you're pretty much out of luck at that point, and you have to essentially do really some crazy things in order to make it work. And it's just, he ran straight into a pinch, like no intel, no information, team wasn't communicating. That is not how you run a Shield.
I like the idea a lot from PB being able to bring out that shield, something new, something different. I felt like this game a lot of the time was rather stale when it came to new ideas, new and improved things coming through. It felt like a good old school game of Rainbow Six Siege, 5v5 tac shooter like we've always known. Nothing special coming out from these teams, but that wasn't what was needed. There were some good shots hit for sure, but when it came down to the blitz rush, it fell short when PB lost that opening pick. That opening pick crumbled them. If they won that engagement, I think that round changes entirely tenfold, because now that's an extra body they have to worry about. Instead, complete opposite.
Well, let's hop into an interview with one of the victorious players here. I'm excited to hear from a member of the roster. It's Ashen joining us here in the studio. Ashen, congratulations on your hard-fought win. And I got to start by asking you, how does it feel to be the most powerful Academy team, probably in all of Rainbow Six Siege competitive right now?
Yeah, we're always under the orgs that we're always the Academy team. And you know what? The Academy team is always better than the main team every time we've been there. So, you know the deal. It's been a trend for a while now, me and my rosters. So.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to SCS finals, brother. Like, you're doing really well for yourselves. Maybe take that Academy out of your name ASAP. But how did you guys? I know you had a bit of a rough start, right? Like, you had a bit of a rough start. How did you manage kind of the lack of preparation, bringing on new team members, going into this season?
So obviously with we had problems. Well, we made the roster move with Spiker. We all know how that turned out. Obviously, he's back and we're in the finals. So, like that was obviously turned out well in the end. It was a pretty big mistake on our ends, even though like Asian is still a good player. But we tried a little experiment. It didn't really work. But we got Spiker back. We were all kind of back on our operators, like our similar roles, and like that's where we really started to thrive. And like that obviously kind of boosted us here to SCS finals. A really big shout out to him, especially from not being on the team, then coming back and still being like mature enough to like be in the call with us every day, like team speak, like game day, stuff like that. Bringing on Neo, everyone like kind of hates on him for his stats, but if you actually go back and look at Spiff's stats on our team too, they were kind of similar too, because him and Spiff, they both play the bad ops, the bad spots, bad operators, the bad positions, stuff like that. It's just like they just both, or Neo, he has a really good like mental and mental fortitude to kind of keep himself in there whenever like he does die in like those bad spots. Like when he pops off, he's that big clutch factor. Obviously we saw it yesterday. Like he's got a nasty shot. He had that really good clutch against on Villa. He's got the clutch factor in him. So.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I mean, I gotta say, I think a lot of us expected you to go over to Theme Park, where it's just kind of been like your strongest map, one of your strongest maps, and just sort of, put the kibosh on this. But it didn't really go that way. It was actually kind of exact opposite. How did you guys recover on the side of, the Academy, like when you didn't put in a good performance on Theme?
Obviously, like we got shit on that map. Props. I don't know if like they like bot reviewed or anything, but we literally just couldn't enter the building. It was just not a theme day. But it's really, I think what separates a lot of like good teams from other teams is like the ability to hit the mental reset. Like we literally just got like 7-2. We just got shit on. And it literally doesn't matter, because this last map this is our whole SCS season. If we lose, we're going nowhere. You know what I mean? And then like if we win, we're back in the finals. T3 probably versus a T1 team again. So I mean, it's just like props to my teammates, props to everybody also for like just having that mental fortitude, able to stick with it and just be able to reset. Like Ambi, I've never heard someone scream so loud in their life. Like we win the first round on Chalet, that guy, you don't want to hear it. Like you won't have ears.
Well, I'm glad that we did it then, if it's maintaining our hearing. But yeah, definitely, I'm so impressed with the fortitude you guys showed, honestly. So speaking of fortitude, though, tomorrow you may very well be staring into the very talented maw of Oxygen Esports. How are you feeling about that? How is the team feeling about that?
We've been in a lot of grand finals before, obviously, but this is the biggest game of our career. It's against OXG. Like we're obviously not expected to win, but who knows? Whatever we pull out, we pull out. That's what it's going to be at the end of the day. This is the biggest game ever.
Well, I'll be looking forward to seeing how you guys do. But we're done with the interview, but don't go anywhere, Ashton, because we got a surprise guest here who wants to talk to you in particular. Very insistent. So I'm gonna let them take it away.
Hi,
Crow.
Ashton. You thought I was gonna let
similar.
Corbeck have all the fun? You
look
thought
similar.
I was gonna let you guys have a win and me not be here? Actually, yeah. Wait, do we?
You're
do
our biggest
like
supporter.
Do we have like the
same
same
glasses? Kind of. the hair.
The gray hair. Yeah,
Good to
yeah,
go.
the forehead sweep. There we go. So, Ashton, time to get into the nitty gritty. You know, Korvac set up the storylines. I don't care about all that stuff. I want to know what was happening directly in the game. So first of all, Oregon, right? You guys have banned Oregon every single series so far you've played except the one against Lycus. What do you not like about the map? And did you expect PB to bring it out against you today?
So we had a lot of like footage on them, and they obviously, you know, playing with the sub, we assume that they're not going to change it, and their player tendencies, they kind of keep it the same. So we had a lot of footage on them, and we banned it every single time just 'cause, like, we didn't really want to play it. But against PB, we felt really confident in it, and yeah, I mean the result kind of showed it. They didn't really change a lot either. You just kind of had to shut down Spirits from dropping the E-Box hatch, and you're fine, to be honest. That's all you had to really do.
You know, Spirits both yesterday and today was a big part of PB's success. And if we want to talk about a round in particular on Oregon, that dining rush where you guys just waltzed in through Big Tower, down the Green Hall, and into Kitchen. I mean, what was it that you saw that led to that opening, and how quickly did you guys make that decision to rush?
So that was off VODs, actually, because we realized you know,
Really?
they have one guy top small, they have one guy like site, like shower hall side, and then they have 3 above. So Uzi actually made a great play. So like we sledged in tower and like we sledged in the site. I actually told Uzi to come with us, but he said no, I'm making a play. He walked up through the attic rotate, and that ended up winning us the round because he had vert and he killed everyone up there. So that rush was all ambi off of footage, like literally off of the VODs. You know, they didn't change a single thing. They had no one site. We literally just took it. All they had was vert. So.
Yeah, I love it when Hear Me Out, it like ends up working. That was a brilliant play from Uzi. And then, you know, working on the theme park, you were talking to Korvac, you know, you guys just kind of got shit on it. What was it in like particular? Was it just the entry denial PB had? Was it the Solus play that they were bringing out? I mean, what was it that was really preventing you from getting a foothold in the building?
We thought it was hugely on the Solus. That's why we actually banned down Chalet.
Gotcha.
Laz was just kind of running around, like, you know, this guy was in spots where we didn't expect him to be with Solus because, you know, like, it's really powerful op. So he's just running around. So, like, once we couldn't kind of get in the building, or if we did get in the building, you know, we were getting flanked, or just, like, we were just getting, you know, we were getting messed around with by the Solus and, like, the info. So going in the Chalet, we just said, all right, listen, let's just ban it from this guy. This guy's like, let's just chop this guy's legs off. We already know how he plays. He's a stupid player. He's just going to run at you. So, you know, he played Valk, and it didn't really, like, give him the same results. So.
Yeah, I was actually kind of, that's kind of what I assumed with the Solus, that maybe you guys figured that their Solus play a little bit more detrimental than your Solus play. And I mean, clearly it ended up working out. Plus, we know that you guys can play Chalet without the Solus because of last time you guys played on this map. And regarding Chalet, I mean, why is it that you think, personally, right, Chalet first came into the map pool again, it was hugely attacker favored, everyone wanted to start attack, but now we kind of seen a rise of the defensive side first. Why do you think teams are opting to bring defense out now as the preferred side?
Obviously the Solus is a pretty big impact, but also I feel like just like the way that like the map is set up now, like you can still like bait outside for picks, but like people kind of know like the default stuff what you're gonna die to. I feel like you know, just like it's a very compact map, but that also kind of makes it defender sided as well. Just like the angles you have to hold, like bar, like, you know, like there's windows and like even above the site that you can just hop in and like you can see directly in the site. So like teams now, they're just like bringing setups and like they're just getting chowed and stuff like that. So that's what kind of makes defense kind of the easier side now.
Gotcha. And one more question about the match in particular. How did you guys react to the blitz rush coming upstairs in office? I mean, did you guys expect it? Because you in particular played against that really well.
I had no clue. I heard a gon. And I knew I shot the blitz a little bit, so I knew he wouldn't like kind of run at me because like he's getting his feet shot or like he's taking damage, so he'd kind of be scared. And you know, like obviously there's a gon, so there's got to be someone behind him. So I was just waiting for that guy to walk in. Then even if I didn't kill the blitz, like shot him in his feet, whenever he walked in piano, Neo had me. He was right to my left. So
yeah,
it was just kind of a big surprise. We didn't even know. So
yeah, I mean it was a brilliant play no matter what. And one last question. Obviously, Korvac kind of set it up that Oshi was going to win, but you know anything can happen. Fish is that guy. He might go huge. Who would you rather play?
Well, obviously, you know, I'm not going to say who I'd rather play. I'm going to tell you why. What would be different playing both teams? How's that?
Okay, that's good enough.
So WW, if they don't have Fish, that is more beatable because they honestly just run around and like, you know, like obviously people can say, oh yeah, just hold the doorways. It's not like that. No, sometimes they're just so stupid that they just run around and it works. You know, obviously we lost to them. That's on us, but no. Hey, we beat them 14 times. That's his first time beating us. For OXG, you know, obviously they're kind of like the Titans right now of SCS. They haven't even like looked bad at all. So I think there is upset potential. It's gonna be the hardest game of our careers. You know, the hardest game like we've ever played. So we really have to pull something out if we want to beat them. You know, like no excuses if we lose, no excuses if they lose. You know, it's just like whoever played better at the end of the day.
Oh, fantastic answer, Ashen. Congratulations on the win. I cannot wait to see you guys tomorrow. Shout out to Corbeck and Ferme for allowing me to do this, and also tell Spiker for me. Do me a personal favor. I mean, because he was at the top of your team, and then he had a real dip in the last 2 series. Nice to see him back up there again in the fragging department doing well. Ashen, have a great night. Thank you so much for the interview, and I can't wait for tomorrow.
You've supported us through the whole way, all the way from aggro, man. You got our back. Love you, man.
Absolutely. Love you too.
Well, how could we not let the man who supported them all the way from aggro get in on what is probably the biggest moment of their career so far? Let's take a look at the overall stats here. Nix, you carried the Arial Rise Academy banner all night long. What do you think of their performance here? I think Uzi in particular, man, what a standout.
Absolutely, but the thing we really need to point out here is, yes, Parabellum across the board had better stats as far as the ratings go, but you have to make note of just the team play and the way that Arial Rise played off each other. Granted, yes, you have numbers and you have all these things here on the board that you could just say, okay, this player's better than the other, but when you look at the cohesion between the cost, the plants, just really everything, it made Arial Rise the better team tactical players, and that's honestly where it ended tonight. Teamwork is what won the game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they were on the roles that they were supposed to be on. This is when Harrison and I watched LG play against AAA just a few nights ago. We were concerned. We were like, what the hell is wrong with these roles? Why is Ashen not entering? Stuff like that. We saw it tonight. Although he wasn't super successful, he only was successful on half of his entry, or a third of his entries rather. 5 for 10. Or 5 and 10, so 5 kills, 10 deaths. But it's still the prowess and presence of having Ashen on the entry to allow the rest of AAA to come behind him, that supporting crew, notably Uzi, who was really thriving off of that refrag. Seeing that come into fruition, come to success, that is what AAA needed, and that's how they ended up taking tonight.
Yeah, it was truly an impressive performance. They were really firing on all cylinders there, especially when they walked into Chalet. Let's take one last look at the bracket here. You see Arial Rise Academy. They are up and in, ready to go to our grand finals tomorrow, a best of 5, but we are not done here for tonight, not by a long shot. If you enjoyed the excitement of that last match, you should not be going anywhere, because as you can see on the other side of the bracket, Oxygen, Wichita Wolves, is it going to be the team, the hour? Is this going to be the opportunity for Wichita Wolves to pull off one of the biggest upsets in Rainbow Six Siege history? Stick around, find out. We'll be right back after this break.
On a double, though, and he finds a third to the smoke.